the 1987 High School Wrestling Championships. Tonight, live from Veterans Auditorium in Des Moines, Iowa, a sellout crowd of some 12,500 will be on hand to witness the 67th annual high school wrestling competition, a tournament which started with 624 competitors and now has only 78 remaining. This evening, 3 team titles will be determined and 39 individual champions will be crowned. Good evening, everybody. I'm Doug Brown with Tim Johnson. And before we get to this great tournament, we want to talk about one more wrestling event. On April 4th at 7 o'clock, it's the United States versus the Soviet Union in wrestling. We're going to bring it to you, and we'll talk about it later. But now let's talk about these blue chippers in Iowa high school wrestling.
It's the best year in a long time. In fact, who knows better than the college recruiters? Yeah. And they're the ones that told us, and no more evidence than the matter of how many college recruiters are in the stands tonight.
They're all over the place because they don't have tournaments themselves. And one of these young men is one of 22 men who won titles last year who could have come back. 16 of them are in the finals, and here is Dan Knight going for number 4.
Dan Knight going for his 4th state championship. He is an unbelievable story. He is going to be one of only 3 undefeated wrestlers in the history of Iowa high school if he wins tonight, and the college recruiters are just drooling.
Those are the 4-time champions before him, and you recognize a lot of familiar names there. From 1959 all the way up until just a couple of years ago when Mark Schwab won up from Osage. And we want to tell you, too, that, again, you know, we have 3 mats going at the same time. So the Iowa High School Athletic Association has devised a 3-year rotation. We'll look at 1 mat at a time, and these are the way the rotation will go. 3A through 126, you're going to see Steve Knight. 1A to 145, 2A to heavyweight, and we'll flip a coin for the super heavyweights. If one ends early, we go to somebody else. You're going to see a lot of wrestling tonight. And some terrific action because there are a lot of blue chippers. 2 men are going for 3 straight, and one of them is Bart Chelsvig.
Bart Chelsvig out of Webster City has not lost since his freshman year in high school. He's going for his 3rd state championship. He had 28 pins in a row going into last night's semifinals where he had a superior decision. Because of his weight class, the college recruiters call him the top recruit in the state.
And another 3-time champion could be Terry Brands of Sheldon.
Terry Brands is no stranger to the state championship, as we said. He's going for his 3rd. He's also real well known on the national scene where he's placed twice in that prestigious National Junior Championships in freestyle. A great college recruit.
How about looking for the winningest wrestler in Iowa history?
That goes to Vance Light of Lisbon. 130 victories. No other person has ever won that many.
We have floor reporters Dean Borg and Dick Trotter with us again tonight to bring you their expertise on what's going on in the other matches and possibly some interviews too. Dean Borg, take it away.
Well, Doug, you and Tim mentioned Vance Light of Lisbon. I'll be watching his 14-year-old brother, who's a freshman, 98 pounds, wrestle first of all here tonight as I rotate back between the 1A and the 2A mats. That brother, Shane, is going against the man who beat him in the districts. Both men came on, and of course, it's a rematch here in the championship tonight. I'll also be watching 5 defending champions: Matt Otten of Lisbon, Chad Dietz of Iowa Valley, Steve Hamilton of Emmitsburg, Doug Stryker of Starmont, and Doug Finch of Britt. Now let's see what Dick Trotter has to say.
All right, Dean, thank you. We'll be covering the matches 98 through 126 in 2A competition, and this could be the night of the striker from Starmont Strawberry Point. Kent Stryker, only a sophomore, will be going for his 2nd consecutive title, but brother Doug also will be looking for his 2nd title tonight. Doug's a senior, Kent's only a sophomore. That's in 2A. Then in 3A, in heavyweight competition, young Jamie Cutler, with a record of 38 wins, no losses, out of Des Moines Dowling, goes against the defending champion Paul Welfa of Ames. Back to you, Doug.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. We have a lot to talk about tonight later on. We'll look forward to it. And by the way, it's Dan Knight, of course. I said Steve Knight. It's a big story, and the Knights are much in the news. Here are the way the teams are going now. The team races are pretty much over. 1A, first of all, where Gilbertville seems to have it locked up.
Coach Dan Mashik does a great job at Don Bosco, and it looks like they're having it wrapped up. But Lisbon, the preseason favorite and last year's champion, and perennial power Britt are really fighting it out for 2nd.
Well, look, it's the same fellows back up on top this year in 2A.
Coach Marv Ryland bringing Eagle Grove back, and it looks like they've won it. Sheldon 2nd and Comanche 3rd.
And how about that Clinton team in 3A?
31 years in coaching for Bob Luters, 24 at Clinton. It's their 1st state championship ever if they win it. And of course, Dowling in at 2nd, and last year's team winner, Charles City, at 3rd.
1987 Iowa High School Wrestling Championships. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Hope you'll be with us on Iowa Public Television coming right up. We're back at the 1987 High School Wrestling Championships. And now let's join PA announcer Mo Kelly for tonight's opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Grand March 1987 begins. The Grand March, all of the place winners at our 1987 State High School Wrestling Tournament, led by Dan Knight of Clinton High School.
Top place winners in all the classes at 3 levels of competition, the large schools, AAA, the AA's, and the single A's, and it's a thrilling moment for them and for their parents in the stands. We hope for you. Maybe you see the young man down the street or next door or your grandson there somewhere.
You know, one of the greatest things that Iowa does is bring all the classes together. In some states they have Class A in some place and in another class in another place. This is so great to have them all together.
At Veterans Auditorium in Des Moines, the Grand March, the grand entry of the wrestlers. And 2 of them in each one of those rows, and there's one man who still has to wrestle tonight, are a little bit more nervous. You see him jumping around, skipping from one foot to the other because they're going to wrestle tonight. They aren't through yet.
And now to present the colors of our nation, the East High School Color Guard, Des Moines, Iowa. At this time, please join in the singing of our national anthem.
The color here at Veterans Auditorium in Des Moines, the 1987 Wrestling Championships. You've seen the grand entry. Now we're going to have more of the tradition of this spectacle. Before we get to the wrestling, we'll have the awards to outstanding wrestlers of the past in the Hall of Fame. We'll have coaches of the year, the official of the year. You'll see some of the people who've made this sport what it's been in the state of Iowa for so many years. History goes back a long, long ways. And sometimes the young men standing out there now, they're thinking about the matches they just had, that escape they could have made to finish a little higher, or what they're going to do yet tonight. They aren't thinking yet about all those years of tradition, are they, Tim?
Well, you know, you're right. They're thinking about the immediacy of what just happened, but to be in the top 6 in the state of Iowa in wrestling is a tremendous accomplishment, and it'll just get better and better as the years as they go on, and they have become part of the tradition.
We see I see a couple of weight classes here, wrestlers who are going to go head-to-head later on, standing next to each other, being friendly. It's I saw 98-pounders all the way to the super heavyweights.
I saw a lot of that today as I was watching the wrestlebacks for 3rd through 6th place, where the matches were so tough and so intense, and at the end, the wrestlers embraced each other and smiles on both faces.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Well, they placed. They all placed. Here's how we have scoring in the individual matches. Those are the scores, in case you've been wondering. There's no riding time, you know, in high school. If you're watching us through our collegiate season, there's riding time there, but not here. There's a takedown as 2. Near falls are the biggies, those 3. If you get a guy on his back for 5 seconds. But there's also team scoring. That's what you get for a first-place finish. Everybody has 12 up through the matches tonight. The winners of tonight's matches will add 4 points to the team totals. And you can get extra points, and some of these could be important in the battles for 2nd and 3rd place. If you win by a major decision, for instance, your team gets an extra half point. By a pin, you get 2. That isn't on that list, but you get 2 for winning by a fall. That's what's going to happen in the team scoring tonight. Now we're going to go back to Mo Kelly for the awards.
Ladies and gentlemen, could we have your attention, please? Dr. Norman E. Borlaug, an Iowan, a former wrestler, a former wrestling coach, a former wrestling official, an agricultural scientist who won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1970, was to be our Grand March escort. He was here yesterday, and we did recognize him at that time. Unfortunately, he was called out of the country. He is on his way to Africa at this moment. As a result, we asked Dan Knight of Clinton to be our Grand March escort. If I could ask you to just forget about wrestling for a few seconds. Dan Knight is a 2-time student body president at Clinton High School, a 2-time student council president at Clinton High School, a very active member of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes at Clinton, also a National Honor Society student with a 3.4 grade point average. Ladies and gentlemen, athletics and education do mix, and Dan Knight represents very well over 600 fine young men who have performed in our state tournament this week. So as their representative, one more round of applause, not only for Dan, but also for the many other fine athletes we've seen here this week. Ladies and gentlemen, for some 17 years now, every time one of our athletes in our state tournament goes down with what appears to be some type of an injury, there's been a gentleman, you've seen him scurrying out to the mat, and maybe scurrying to 2 or 3 different mats almost at the same time. This has been going on for a long time, as Dr. Joe Spearing has been our team doctor. Dr. Joe is going to call it quits this year. He's going to take a seat up in the sky. By that I mean he's going to move up into the balcony and sit in one of the soft seats. He says that he'll be here as he has been for the past many years, but he's going to spectate instead of being our team doctor. We'd just like to thank him for the great service. I know a lot of moms and dads and coaches have been very anxious to see him come out and aid those injured boys during these many state tournaments that he's worked. How about a nice hand for Dr. Joe Spearing, serving as our team doctor for the final time. As is the custom, we do have some Hall of Fame inductees this year. The Iowa Wrestling Coaches and Officials Association and the Iowa Boys High School Athletic Association have a committee that meets each year, and they decide on some individuals that have contributed greatly to high school wrestling and the great growth and success that it's enjoyed through the years. And we're going to honor 3 members, 3 new inductees in our Hall of Fame this year. Number 1, a young fellow that wrestled at Humboldt High School, a 3-time state champion at Humboldt. 2 of those teams, one was a state championship team, another a state runner-up team. He went on to Iowa State University, was a fine performer there on a couple of teams that won NCAA championships, and he himself placed very high individually in a couple of those NCAA championships. Later, a high school coach for a few years at Webster City, still resides there, now in the business world. Meet Hall of Famer from Humboldt, Keith Abens, and his wife, Jo. Next up, a young gentleman who wrestled at Eagle Grove High School, a 2-time state champion at Eagle Grove, went on to the University of Wyoming, was an All-American 3 times there as a collegiate wrestler, came back to where he belongs, the state of Iowa, and was a coach here in Iowa at a couple of places before going to Fort Dodge, where he spent most of his coaching career, some 15 years. During that time, he had many, many outstanding teams. He had 2 state championship teams. He had 2 runner-up teams. And of course, many of his individuals placed very high in state meet competition. He bowed out of coaching a year or so ago and is now an administrator at Fort Dodge High School, Hall of Famer Don Miller and his wife Bonnie. And last but certainly not least, another 3-time state champion as he represented Cedar Falls High School. This is kind of an interesting story. Quite a family of wrestlers. The Rhodes family. He had a couple brothers who also won state championships. Another one was a state runner-up. So several state titles in one family, 3 of them owned by Kim Rhodes of Cedar Falls, Hall of Famer, accompanied by his wife, Kathy. Several years ago, the Iowa High School Athletic Association started an Officials Hall of Fame. This covers all sports. We try to honor those fellows who have worked so many years in the various sports as officials. And of course, it would be most appropriate this evening to honor a gentleman who worked over 20 years as a wrestling official, working some 13 or 14 of our state meets, which is about as many as any of our officials have ever worked. He also, of course, was a collegiate official for many years. Prior to that, he was a wrestler himself at UNI. As a matter of fact, at one time an NCAA runner-up. Going into our Officials Hall of Fame this year, now living in the Quad Cities area, here's Fred Stoker, accompanied by his wife, Shirley. A few years ago, some of our member schools of the IHSAA indicated that they have some doctors in their community who provide all kinds of help for their athletic teams. That's how we started having a Team Doctor Award, which we've been presenting for several years now to those deserving individuals nominated by member schools. The doctor we're honoring tonight was nominated by West Des Moines Valley High Schools. He's been helping their athletic teams, particularly the football and wrestling squads, for many years now. We'd like you to meet Team Doctor Award winner, Dr. Burton Routman, accompanied by his wife, Lisa. How about another nice hand for these honorees, folks? The Iowa Wrestling Officials and Coaches Association met this morning, had their annual meeting to decide their special awards for 1987. And at this time, we're going to be making these presentations. I'd like to introduce the fellows that will be presenting the awards. Dave Ripley is in the brown suit. Dave's from Riceville, current president of that group. And John Kinley is next to Dave. He's from Carroll, Iowa, and is the vice president of the association at the present time. Let's begin with Class 1A. This gentleman has almost 150 dual meet wins to his credit in his coaching career, and also has had several top 10 finishes. As a matter of fact, may make it again this year in the top 10 in state competition. The Class 1A Coach of the Year meet from Winthrop, East Buchanan, Coach Dave Steinkamp. Dave's assistant coach to be honored is Dave Steffen. Dave? Let's go to Class 2A now, and the Coach of the Year in 2A. This is the third straight season they've had a perfect dual meet season. They've won their way into the state dual meet championship round next weekend. Meet 2A Coach of the Year from Comanche, Mike Ashby. Mike is assisted by Chuck Haas and Cy Rashi. The 3A Coach of the Year, 17 straight winning seasons, some 270 dual meet victories. That means he is the second most dual meet wins of any active coach today in Iowa. Meet the 3A Coach of the Year, Coach Bob Luters of Clinton. And his assistants are Ken Wilkins and Larry Smyrna. The Wrestling Coaches and Officials group also honors a junior high Coach of the Year annually. This year they are going to honor a gentleman who's been at it for some 20 years at the junior high level. 95% of the young men that he coaches go on and move into varsity ranks as wrestlers. And they went at one time some 9 years without losing a match in junior high competition. The Junior High Coach of the Year from Osage, Jim Newwarner. And last but certainly not least, the Official of the Year. This young man has worked many collegiate meets, including the NCAAs. He's been one of the top-ranked officials in those NCAA tournaments. Certainly one of the top-ranked officials in our state at the high school level. He's worked 6 or 7 of our state meets, and as you can tell, working again this year here at our state championship meet. The Official of the Year from Waterloo, Mike Allen. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about set for the important business of the evening, and that is, of course, the wrestling will be underway in just a moment or two. Thank you.
Our congratulations to all the award winners, and we'll be back with that first weight class in just a moment. Steve Knight tonight go for his 4th championship if he can get it with AAA 98 through 126. We'll go through 145 then with single A and 155 through heavyweight with the AA classes, and we will then sort of flip a coin. We'll see what happens with super heavyweight when we won. Looks like a good match coming up at AAA. First of all, at 98 pounds between Fort Dodge's Doug Black and Cedar Rapids Prairie's Dan Osborne.
Well, Dan Knight is the topper to this side of the AAA, but boy, as I look through all the matches coming up, we have got some outstanding matches here in the first 4. We're really looking forward to this.
Well, we have time to look quickly at them. It's Stecker of City High against Lartz of Charles City at 105. At 112, we'll see Ed Lee of Council Bluffs Lincoln against Baron Hendricks of Clinton. That's the first of the Clinton championship possibilities. At 119 will be Tam Ho of Boone against Gary Steffensmeyer of Fort Madison, who is undefeated. And then we'll see Dan Knight go against Burlington's Andy Price at 126. Those are the AAA matches that we'll start with. But of course, if anything happens that you will need to know about someplace else, we'll get to it. And we'll certainly get reports from Dean Borg and Dick Trotter along the way. We'll also shuffle off down the way to look at the other matches if one ends early. So we'll try to bring you as extensive coverage as we possibly can in what really is a 3-ring circus. 98 pounds first of all, and the wrestlers are ready to go. We'll be showing you too who is going to be in the, let's call them the off matches, the ones who are not the primary center on TV tonight in each weight class. And we'll keep track of those as we go. But we're at AAA with Fort Dodge's Doug Black and Cedar Rapids Prairie's Dan Osborne.
A couple of young wrestlers. The 9th grader, Dan Osborne, coached by Jim Kimball, of course, got a great record. He's 30-2 going into this match, going against the sophomore, Doug Black, Fort Dodge, who's 26-1. It should be a real good. Black's a good, real basic wrestler. He came through kind of a tough round in that quarterfinals where he had an overtime victory.
He was up against Dan Dickey of Waterloo Central, and he won a criteria decision.
That's right. And Osborne, a freshman, beat a senior in the semis.
Those are the other, now some of the other matches that we have coming up. There is 1A up in the corner on the right. That's Ward Buster of Wapello against Shane Light of Lisbon. And at the AA mat, we'll have Todd Crush of LaPorte City against Paul Rush of Dallas Center Grimes. But you're looking in the big picture there at Black of Fort Dodge, who is in the black uniform, against Osborne. Well, it looks like it's difficult to tell because they're both in the black.
Knee pads are the Fort Dodge wrestler, and the no knee pads is Osborne from Cedar Rapids Prairie.
2-minute periods, you know, in high school. 2-minute periods. And you saw the Fort Dodge wrestler Black shoot on a double leg, and he's underneath now.
He's looking kind of for a carry right here, but you can see Osborne really hipping out and stopping that carry.
Yes, he had the ankle across the back, too. Time left, time gone about a minute. Time left about a minute. Again, Black in on, this time Osborne in on a single, and he has it if he can draw it in.
Right, he can't just sit there. He's got to bring it in. It was a nice shot. They've both had shots now. It's going to be the next shot by one of the men should bring a takedown here. There's a double leg shot.
Nice one.
By Osborne. He needs to come around and cover that leg just like that, hook it, and he got his 2.
And so Black bails out. It's 2-0 in favor of Osborne with 30 seconds to go. Now let's see how he can control his man. He'd like to ride the rest of this period out if he could.
You know, it's interesting. His first shot was a single, and this time he came back with a double leg. It was a nice shot, and it got him 2 points.
He has his man flat now. Osborne leading by 2. He has a bar arm on the left, you see. Trying to lock up both arms and then hoist his man over if he can. But he's in a good shape on top. Looks like he's going to ride this period out easily. There's only 5 seconds
He's
left.
a good rider. He likes to work the arms.
Time, y'all.
Mike Allen, who is the official of the year, you'll notice, is the referee here.
Red, the third.
End of the first period, 2-0. The choice
That's
goes
Hans
to Black,
Getch.
and Black decides to take on the feet. So he got a takedown there. He didn't get a takedown there, but he'd like to get one. Interesting. He still feels that he's better off on his feet, but again, Osborne shoots.
There's that double leg now. He's got to drive through it right here, not just hang on. He's going to try to drive right through like a double leg tackle.
Don't stop. 1, 2.
But Black knows where he's at, right on the edge.
Out of bounds with 1:36 to go in the second period. 2-0 on the takedown by Osborne.
Circle. Circle.
They started even in this period, and again, you see Osborne of Cedar Rapids Prairie with a double leg tackle. This is how he got the takedown the first time.
And look for him to take that leg right there, hook it over, and now cover the hips. He has had 3 nice double leg shots. He really creates an opening there.
And he has a 4-0 lead. He's one up here on the way to the state championship at 98 pounds. And again, he has Black flat. Black hasn't been able to get anywhere. He's been on his chest every second.
Fade in fluid position. Warning on the top, hip to hip. Okay?
It's interesting here, Doug, as we get later into the match as far as Osborne being a freshman, and we'll talk about that.
He is a freshman from Cedar Rapids Prairie with a good tradition at that school with Barry Davis up there on the wall. He sees his picture every once in a while. Now you see Osborne trying to lock up a cradle. He now has the bar arm again, and still he has Doug Black of Fort Dodge flat.
In the single A match, Ward Buster from Wapello leads Shane Light from Lisbon 2-1 right now in the second period with 10 seconds left.
And so we have at AAA here, Osborne now giving up the escape, and it's 4-1.
Circle, Red! Circle! Circle! Circle up!
And so we have on the feet again at 98 pounds, Fort Dodge.
You down, Redfish down.
Against Cedar Rapids Prairie here. As we start the third period, it's 4-1, favor of Osborne.
Black really needs to turn him over to score some points to get back in this match here. And on the opposite end, I'm sure that they want to see, that Coach Kimball wants to see Osborne explode out of there from the bottom.
Come on! Come on! Come on!
They're both tough on top.
Yes, they are. And
1, 2.
Doug Black really is not bashful about getting out in front and trying to crank. There he is inside the crotch here. Now he has to create a situation where he can get the half on or something to turn the man over.
He needs 3 points in the worst way. He's down 4-1 with about 1:15 to go in the first match of the night here on Iowa Public Television's live coverage of the state wrestling tournament.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You hear Mike Allen calling. He's calling it a stalemate. He wants the situation to resolve one way or another, or he'll break it up and start over again.
With less than a minute left on that single A match, it's Ward Buster still leading 2-1 and riding.
Black again. Black has Osborne down, but Black has to get some points.
Headgear.
4-2 after the awarding of a point.
Over to you, Coach. You go over there.
The time is called here. I think there's an injury of some sort with the young man from Cedar Rapids Prairie.
Right here, we're going to see him come down hard on something there that resulted in a minor injury because he's ready to go.
It's hard to see, as a matter of fact. If we sound like we're a little confused, it's because it's hard to see through all the people at the edge of the mat and to know exactly what's happening.
The score on that 1A match is getting real tight. It's 2-2 with 21 seconds as Shane Light was just awarded a point as they called stalling on Ward Buster. And there's 15 seconds left.
Get busy, Bottom. Come on.
All right, we have Doug Black of Fort Dodge starting on top, but Osborne gets to his feet. Osborne leads. Now, after an extra point, he has a lead of 5-2.
Circle. You're pushing. You're pushing him.
Well, I'll tell you what, Black needs to throw here.
He's definitely in that area right now. It's going to take a major score here for him to get back into it.
Single leg shot by Black. Went after that outside single, but it was blocked off. Osborne leads by 3, and he has 20 seconds.
Well, you see him backed up there. Now, he's saying it's because of his headgear, but he still stepped back, and Mike Allen called him for stalling.
And it's 5-3. Mike Allen is not at all bashful about calling stalling, and that's how we got that earlier point.
We understand that.
So now we have a 5-3 situation and a takedown in 21 seconds here remaining would tie it up for Doug Black at Fort Dodge. He's having headgear problems.
Well, in the 2A, the match wasn't so close as Todd Frush from LaPorte City won the state championship with a 16-0 victory over Paul Rush of Dallas Center Grimes.
And we have an overtime at 1A between Buster of Wapello and Light of Lisbon. They went 2-2 in regular time. And so because of the overtime, we may very well see something there. 20 seconds left to go here. Single leg shot by Black, but they're out of bounds with what? 5 seconds. What happened? 5 seconds. Two. There it is. He was called for backing up, and that ties it. It's 5-5 with 1 second to go, and they're going to go to overtime.
He gave up 4 points in the last minute and a half to stalling to make it 5-5, and they have an overtime there. Mike Allen does not take any backing up, or he hits him for stalling, and that's what we just saw there.
Well, we go back to overtime, and you're looking at Doug Black. He got back in the match because of penalty.
We have overtime in single A.
It's going to be a long night of that. You're going to have 2 overtimes out of 3 matches at 98 pounds.
In fact, Shane Light just took a 2-0 lead over Ward Buster with a takedown. There's only 15 seconds left in the first period of that overtime. Shane Light of Lisbon leading Ward Buster of Wapello 2-0. Here is the last stalling call as you see him back up, and Mike Allen hold up the stalling warning and award 2 points. Made the score 5-5.
Yeah, when you're out there with Mike Allen, you better be busy.
You better be going forward and staying in the middle.
So, the regular time ends 5-5. There's no such thing as riding time point in high school. So we'll start all over again. What happens if they're tied at the end of that period? And it's happened here. As a matter of fact, we told you that that Black did win a criteria match in his quarterfinal match. And he won it on the basis of criteria after going 3-3 and then 0-0 in the overtime. They're at it again. Fighting for a takedown. In the knee pads, they're both wearing black. In the knee pads, it's Doug Black of Fort Dodge.
Circle! Circle! Stay in! Stalemate, let's go!
They can't be cautious.
There's a single leg shot there.
It's kind of a drop single, a snatch single by Osborne, which didn't pay off. They've used half the first minute. Each period is a minute long. Now there's a good single by Osborne.
He needs to finish it up. He needs to go through it, pick it up, finish it off. Either cut off to a double, which he had so much success with at the first.
Mike Allen said that's not enough. You got to start over again, and we have very few seconds left. 15 seconds in the first period. Double leg try by Osborne. Seems to be the better of the two on the feet.
Keep going, man. Keep going.
Black sprawls and saves himself.
4 seconds.
4 seconds to go. Time, and we go to second period.
Really, Osborne has been making most of the moves, and then he just stopped in that last minute of his regulation match. But as far as initiating from the feet, Osborne has done a lot more than Black.
1 minute periods in overtime, and Black had the choice. He wanted to go on his feet, although he has not had success there. Osborne has, but Black wants to be on his feet. Black is the man with the knee pads on the left. For the state championship at the AAA level, the big schools at 98 pounds.
Well, Osborne's going to have to watch it here again. There's a good shot by him, or at least a shot that will save him from getting called for stalling, because he's burying his head into Black's chest there, and he needs to make his shots because he has good shots. He just needs to carry through.
We have 20 seconds left to go. An outside high single leg by Doug Black.
Well, the single leg just got over. In overtime, Shane Light has won 5-0 over Ward Buster. State champion, Shane Light. Came from behind in the regulation to tie it up. And that was on a stalling call, too. It's interesting how stalling has already come into play here. You got to get out there and go in those state championship matches.
Second period is over without a score. We're 0-0 now. What does Osborne want to do? He wants to go down. He's going to try to get the escape point. If they can't settle anything on the feet, this is the first time we've had either man.
There's a shot of Coach Hans Getch out of Fort Dodge.
Seems to be, it's either an injury timeout again or else that headgear is being troublesome to Osborne. I think it's the headgear. It is. Osborne had a takedown in the first period on a nice double leg. He started the second period with one.
Really had things going his way.
He really did. It was 4-0. And all of a sudden in the third period, he went stale and was called 3 times for stalling.
To equal 4 points. In fact, Black only scored 1 point on his own.
That was an escape at the end of in the second period.
All right. Come on
so
down.
They've been tough on top too. So Black really has to hustle on top to hold Osborne down, because Osborne gets out, it could mean the title.
He's trying to control those hands and get out, getting hips down. You see him trying to fight the hands right there, control and get his hips out of there. And Mike Allen's telling Black that you have to take him down to the mat. He couldn't do it.
And now it's 6-5 in favor of Osborne. Osborne of Cedar Rapids Prairie.
Come on, we gotta go.
Mike Allen's making it clear. That's Osborne's reach on the outside for that high single again.
1, 2, 3.
I think this is going to be a stalemate.
Stalemate, don't hang.
How much time? 20 seconds for Black to get that point back. Maybe 2 with a takedown. Does some of this happen because they like to work off the same tie-ups?
There we go again with the stalling. What were you going to say?
Well, they like to work off the same tie-ups, and they're not varying them at all. There it is. Victory for Osborne.
The difference was Osborne was able to change his levels and drop down to that leg where Black was not.
Good job, both of you.
The state
Overtime.
championship for Osborne from Prairie.
Dan
Only a
Osborne of
freshman.
Cedar Rapids, Prairie in overtime.
Well, you know, we were going to say about being a freshman, now he has a chance down the road to be that elusive 4-time state champion. Is he the only one right now?
Yes, let's go to Dean Borg.
Doug, Shane Light of Lisbon, who finished second in the districts to Ward Buster. Remember the rematch I told you about? The champion is Shane Light. He came back and beat, in overtime, Ward Buster of Wapello 5-0. And here you see the final takedown that won it for him. He came out in overtime, did a takedown. Buster, in the second period of overtime, led him up for an escape that was 3-0. But then Light came back with this takedown that you see here and won it 5-0. Dick Trotter.
All right, Dean, as we go to 98 pounds in Class 2A, we had an exciting match there. It ended in technical fall. And the young man from LaPorte City, Todd Frush, running off the mat there into the arms of his coach, won tonight on a takedown and 5 consecutive near falls to win in a technical fall over Paul Rush of Dallas Center Grimes with 46 seconds left. Now back to you, Doug.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We're going to have eventually here the awards given to those 98-pound winners after the 104 5-pound matches are wrestled. So if you're watching for, again, somebody you know to see how he placed in the top 6, we'll have the award winners of all the classes tonight before very long. And might mention about young Mr. Light of Lisbon that he came back from not winning the district tournament.
Right.
To win a state championship.
A rematch, and it's always tough to do, and it was a tough match for both of them.
At 105 pounds, we're going to start here with a wrestler from City High School of Iowa City, Ken Stecker, undefeated this year in 29 goes. He's up against Brent Lartz of Charles City. The other thing,
actually, what I was going to say, we talked about the freshman Osborne having a chance at 4-time. Of course, Shane Light's only a freshman, and he does too.
Yes. We always like to look at that to see who might be up there in that 4 straight possibility when they get to be a senior. We start with City High School of Iowa City in the dark uniform, in the light uniform, and Brent Lartz of Charles City in the dark. At 1A, we're going to go with C.C. Hoffman of Sigourney against Matt Otten, who's top ranked. He's from Manly North Central. And the AA match is Starmont's Kent Stryker, undefeated, against Brian Wilcox of Davis County.
We have a real scramble here in the match between Charles City's Brent Lartz and City High of Iowa City's Ken Stecker. Both real outstanding wrestlers. They both like to be on their feet. Stecker likes to duck under, high crotch. He's real good on his feet. Doubles and singles you'll see from Lartz has a lot of length, as you see, and as he tries to reach around and grab that leg for the 2 points.
Stecker went across to the other side for a high crotch. Lartz blocks him off.
Set him up.
Stecker's a pinner. Out of 29 wins this year, he's had 25 pins.
City High and High School, I suspect he's probably seen the hometown Iowa team wrestle once or twice.
Probably been over to Carver a few times.
There he is on top. He dropped the front headlock and went below, but couldn't get the move he wanted. A nice Kelly and into a takedown. Almost had back points that time. It's Stecker.
Like we were saying, he is really a pinner, and Lartz is going to have to keep his head up and get out of there and explode. He doesn't want to stay underneath that.
Pretty move. Now he has a crossbody right in there, working for tilts.
We're out.
So many of these young men have wrestled a great deal in freestyle. You can see a lot of those tilt moves that they've been doing for years since they were in grade school.
Here's that little knee tap, I call. He was underneath, he tapped the far knee, and then he came out and almost was able to cover that chest for 2 or 3 more points, but wasn't able to do it. Now he loads him up for tilt.
Referee has said not quite. No back points yet. He didn't expose it. In a stop position. Try it again.
1, 2.
Now he has a near fall.
I've got 2, yes.
2-point near fall for Stecker. He leads 4-0. That's the end of the first period.
Green's choice.
Well, results in 1A, Matt Ott from Manly North Central won by a fall in the first period over C.C. Hoffman of Sigourney. Matt Ott, the state champion for 1A at 105 pounds.
He's a tough one. He's a tough one. He was #1 rated all year long and took it all the way to the state championship. Stecker here against Lartz.
You know, Lartz is an interesting story. He has a 3.95 grade point average, one of the best math students in the state, and he's looking maybe to go to college somewhere in a pre-med.
Who gave him the B, huh?
Yeah, really. Hope I don't get anybody in Charles City in trouble. It sounds like he's a tremendous student athlete, and I'm sure Coach Nick Hobbs is real proud to have him on his team. Hobbs, of course, having the state championship team last year and being right in there for the trophy this year.
Now you see that's an offensive front headlock.
He's out to the side. He's got his head out there ready to go.
But the referee was Dale McDonough, by the way. Dale McDonough was not satisfied that it was going anywhere, so he's going to make him start over. We have 1:13 to go. Second period. It's 105-pound state championship AAA division. Stecker again in that front headlock situation. He wants to be able to throw his man by, but a nice counter by Lartz. He's back up in an even position again where he wants to be. There's that same little knee tap or the Kelly or whatever you want to call it.
Now there's a situation where, oh man, that Stecker, he'll really go for that ball any way he can get it. He is really tough there.
He's confident on top. Let me have a scramble is what he's one of these guys who says, put me in a scramble and I'll come out on top every time.
And not only on top of it, with my opponent on his back.
It's 9-0 and counting again. 2-point near fall. That makes it 11 zip. We could get a technical fall here.
1, 2, 3.
In the 2A match,
that makes it 13.
2-2. It just went to 4-2 in the favor of Kent Stryker. That's an interesting match because Kent Stryker and Brian Wilcox is a repeat from last year's finals.
13-0 here, Tim, with Ken Stecker of Iowa City.
Score right, gentlemen.
Looking ferocious. Skilled and committed, and altogether too much so far for Brent Lartz of Charles City.
Strength has a lot to do with it. As you can see, he's just a little bit stronger. That's Coach Clyde Bean saying, get a few more points and you're a state champion, son.
And if he tilts him again, he'll end the match. Because all he needs is 2, you know. If you get a difference of 15, they stop it on a technical fall.
Well, this is Ken Stecker's 3rd time to the state tournament, and it's his 1st time to the finals. He was 4th last year and a qualifier the year before. Whoa, we have a change here.
Oh, boy.
He just wants to get him back there.
Oh, ho, ho! Stecker is on his back and in serious trouble.
5.
You got to be good. You have to come out of those to be good, too. Well, that's a reversal. And should be a reversal and a near fall. I see the score is listed as 13-3, but that has to be 13-5.
Was he on top to start that period?
Let's go, gentlemen. Some action.
Lartz is doing a nice job of riding here, and he's really going out to the side and trying to bar the arms up. He's trying to go for the fall here. Stecker is having trouble getting up from the bottom. Lartz was 5th last year at 105.
This is a late rally by this young man from Charles City. Just goes to show you the match is never over.
1.
He has a tough bar arm.
Use it. 2.
He's trying to bar up both arms now.
3.
He has a lot to make up. He has to get a quick pin here if he can do it.
Come to a base. Bottom.
Really, it's kind of hard when the person on the bottom knows that they really don't have to wrestle right here. He can take a stalling, whatever. He's just not going to go to his back and get in any more trouble than he's already in. 10 seconds left. He's got a state championship if he just stays off his back.
Ken Stecker. 3 seconds. 2, 1.
Down.
He's called for stalling. I don't think he's really worried about it.
No,
Just won the match.
It's a state championship for Stecker. He's only a junior. You know, I'll bet Brent Lartz wish he had the match to do over. After coming back like that, being able to control him from the top.
But Ken Stecker is the winner. City High of Iowa City. The score is 13-3. Brent Lartz finishes second from Charles City. That's the AAA division. We're showing AAA matches through 126. Now we're going to go over to 2A because that's still going between Kent Stryker and Brian Wilcox.
And like I said, this is a rematch of last year's finals where Stryker beat Wilcox.
Wilcox is riding, but he trails by 2. Stryker leads 4-2. Stryker is undefeated in 35 matches this year, and Wilcox got to find that combination on top. 50 seconds to go in the third period. Stryker on the bottom
and leading.
The referee here is John Monroe. Now you see Stryker try to hook the arm on the near side and maybe roll with it. And there's a warning against the man on the bottom. And that's not more, he was warned earlier apparently. So that's a point. And it's now 4-3 in favor of Stryker. If Wilcox lets him go, he'll be behind by 2 points. But he'll have 25 seconds to take the man down. Contrasting physical.
Yes, it is. Short and stocky, the lankiness here. He really needs to get out of this before stalemate's called so he can get back on his feet and work. 10 seconds left. Stalemate's called here. He really got one chance left.
With 9 seconds. Stryker has an underhook, and he wins the title.
Again.
That's tough. You go out there 2 years in a row, as Brian Wilcox has, and come back second both times. 105 pounds. Those are the winners. That's the winner, Stryker over Wilcox, and we're going to show you now the top place winners at 98 pounds.
Fourth place, John Gilgen, Mondamon, West Harrison. Third place, Matt Sampson, Avoca, Avoha. Runner-up, Ward Buster, Wapello. And the Class 1A 98-pound champion from Lisbon, Shane Light.
Boy, you ought to smile. He's a freshman, and he could make it 4 times. You never know. What do we see? He was one of 4 cousins.
Yeah,
who came from Lisbon on the Lisbon team.
Grandma Light back in Lisbon just has to be about the proudest grandma. And I shouldn't say that, but she's as proud as the grandma there is in the state. She had 4 grandsons in the state tournament this year.
Jay Gibson, Winterset.
Congratulations.
This is double
Fourth
A.
place, Steve Holler, Perry. Third place, Brent Durgin, Mount Vernon. Runner-up, Paul Rush, Dallas Center Grimes. And the 2A 98-pound champion from LaPorte City, Todd Frush.
Todd Frush, he won it big on a technical fall to win the 2A championship. As we said, most of the team championships have been pretty well settled, and any last doubts in the AAA division we'll find out about when one of the Clinton people comes up or one of the Dowling people. That will probably settle it right away. Here are the AAAs.
Pound awards, Coach Jim Kimball of Cedar Rapids Prairie. Sixth place, Robert Agan, Davenport West. Fifth place, Walter Furler, Council Bluffs, Abraham Lincoln. Fourth place, Mike Weeks, Southeast Polk Runnels. Third place, Dan Dickey, Waterloo Central. Runner-up, Doug Black, Fort Dodge. And the 3A 98-pound champion from Cedar Rapids Prairie, Dan Osborne.
Took him in overtime, but he got the job done.
And another freshman. So we've seen a couple now that maybe 4 years down the road.
Okay, let's go to Dean Borg.
Matt Otten of Manly North Central is the champion again this year. This year at 105 pounds, defeating C.C. Hoffman of Sigourney. He pinned him in 1 minute 15 seconds of the first period. Hoffman, or I should say Otten, was second here in 1985, was champion at 98 pounds last year, comes back this year at 105 pounds. He is the champion in Class 1A. Doug?
Thank you, Dean. We're going to 119 pounds now. We're still with the AAAs, remember, and coming up next, we're going to catch Dan Knight of Clinton. His shot for 4 straight state championships. An undefeated high school wrestler that's coming up at 126. Here at 112, I'm a little ahead of myself. That's 2 away. I had my page turned here, Tim. Somebody should have hit me by the side of the head.
Well, this match is really great. It's a contrast in styles. Last year's champion, Baron Hendricks from Clinton, is a good low singles attack. He has a great high crotch to the right-hand side, and also a lot of double and lifting action, whereby on the other side we have Eddie Lee, who's come from Underwood, Iowa a couple of years ago, or the last 2 years in single A, where he was third the last couple of years. Now he's made the finals in AAA with Council Bluff, Abraham Lincoln, and he's a thrower. He's upper body. Whoa!
Yeah, but it was a little bit too much. That's Ed Lee on top. Council Bluff from Baron Hendricks of Clinton on top. The first takedown makes it 2-0. If Clinton wins this match, they are cinched for the championship. They win the title for sure, the team title. It's 2-1. You see Hendricks on the left after the escape. 2-1 against Lee.
Well, Lee's only loss this year came to Hendricks in the finals of a tournament, 6-4. Hendricks is 27-0.
Now we have at the A mat going on at the same time. Tim Griffin of Lorenz Marathon against Brett Muse of Ackley, Geneva. Griffin is undefeated this year. And at the double A mat, it's Johnston's Cale Sponsler against Sheldon's Troy Button, and neither one of those men has lost. 2-1. Hendricks on with his back to you. Referee is Richard Gray. They like to stay on the outside. Well, you see now Lee coming in close. He wants to throw. He has an underhook. And Hendricks is staying away from him. He wants to operate more from the outside. Does not want to throw quite so much from the looks of it.
4. Come on, man, let's work. Work in the middle.
20 seconds to go. Long single from the outside by Hendricks is short.
Well, in that 2A, now Budden is still undefeated, and Sponsler from Johnston has 1 loss because Troy Budden won the state championship with a quick pin.
Oh, my.
For Sheldon in the first period.
Maybe we have a chance to show you that later on. We missed that.
Can you go 1 second? Get something ready, coach. 1 second, man.
1 second to go. That's it.
You notice that
Nosebleed.
Eddie Lee really likes to go upper body. He likes to control the head, look for the over and under. He's a dangerous kid with the headlocks, and he really likes to throw. Hendricks, on the other hand, of course, is a very steady performer.
They took time out because Baron Hendricks got a nosebleed. And so Clark Allen, who's Ed Lee's coach at Lincoln, gets a little extra time to talk to his wrestler. It was 2-1.
Green defers. Red takes down.
Lee defers. Hendricks of Clinton will start on the bottom.
Right, man, sit. Cover.
Well, Lee really likes to use the tight waist, and he looks for tilts. He'd certainly like to come up with a couple of points right here because this is going to be a real hard-fought match.
As we told you, Button wins by fall in the double-A match over Sponsler. That was at double-A tonight. A big surprise because both men were undefeated. It was a big surprise because it happened so fast. Sheldon looked awfully tough here in the last day. They did very well
Both up.
in the semifinal round. 2-1 in favor of the man on the right.
Well, Lee likes to control that
3-1.
underhook right there.
That's right.
Keep it in there, guys. Keep it in there.
Hendricks did escape. Hendricks did escape to make it 3-1.
Do it in the middle. Keep it out here.
1:14 to go, second period. Each period 2 minutes long. Iowa Wrestling Championships in a banner year, everybody says. I don't know for sure, but we looked around here last night. Of course, we saw the head coaches of all the major Iowa schools here, and lots of their teams and assistants. And you saw John Azevedo from Wisconsin, and quite a number of other coaches from around the country. This is a big year for wrestling recruiting in the state of Iowa. Beautiful fireman's carry by Hendricks, and he gets 2 out of it. 5-1.
He beat Eddie Lee to it. He created the opening there. Beautiful fireman's carry.
He's going to have to move off to the side here, though, I think.
Get the fingers. Watch your fingers. Get them all. Work the ball. Work your series. Just work, man.
5-1 Hendricks, trying to cap an undefeated season. His team is going to win a state championship from the looks of it.
Eddie Lee was able to get his hips clear and escape there, and making it 5-2. And like I said, Lee's dangerous. Hendricks won't be able to let up on him. He needs to keep the pressure on.
Takes down. Green takes down. Third period.
The
coaches get nervous, I'll tell you.
Here we go. We're ready.
That's a rough place to be.
It's Clark Allen, the coach from Council Bluffs, yelling encouragement to Eddie Lee.
Spider-Man set, covering.
His new star, who I'm sure that he's glad to have in his room this year.
Third period, Hendricks starts on top. Lee had his choice. It's a 5-2 lead for the man on the top. And referee Richard Gray is going to bring him up off that ankle pretty soon, I think.
1, 2.
Hear him count?
Well, he needs to. He's just been sitting back there on the ankle.
Good work, fellas.
5-2 in favor of Hendricks.
Work it up, work it up.
He's in between the legs there.
Gotta use it.
Well, Lee is not in a position that he wants to be, flat on his belly right there. He's got to come up, control the arms, control the hands, and get out of there. Hendricks likes
90,
it here.
90, 90.
Well, especially when he had a bar arm, but he lost it, and now it's 5-3, so a takedown by Lee would tie it.
Injury time.
It looks like he made a lunge at him and probably caught Hendricks' eye with his finger or something, scratching it or blurring his vision there, and he called timeout, Hendricks did, to take care of that eye.
On the left, you see the coach of the year, Bob Luters.
Ready to go?
Clinton. You know, Clinton has never won a state title. We were figuring it out last night that they have gone to third place 3 times in the last something like 5 years.
Good job.
But before that, had never placed and have not until this year won first place in the state championships. Clinton High School.
Less than a minute left here. It's going to be a very interesting ending here. Again, the contrasting styles, and Eddie Lee, as dangerous as he is, anything could happen.
1.
Well, you see Hendricks staying away from him.
3.
Right, he does not want to lock up. He likes to work from the open stance.
Let's go. Both sides.
5-3. 42 seconds left. Lee, with his back to you, needs the takedown to tie. But Hendricks made the shot. What will Lee do with this front headlock?
In 1A, Brett Muse of Ackley, Geneva,
Just work it, guys. Just work it.
leads Tim Griffin of Lawrence Marathon
1.
Undefeated
3-2.
year. Undefeated year so far for Griffin.
Yeah.
Now we're down to 10 seconds here.
You're backing up here, Clinton. You're backing. You're back.
And
Let's
there's a warning
Right
against
out in the
Hendricks,
middle.
but he'll accept that with only 12 seconds left. Lee's going to have to do something. Trailing by 2.
1, 2.
He hasn't been able to throw, and Clinton clinches not only this individual championship for Baron Hendricks, but the state team championship at AAA.
Good match. Got a winner right here.
5-3. The winner is Baron Hendricks, who just equaled the state record in the long jump there as he got back to his coaches. 5-3 at AAA in the 112-pound class. Let's go to 1A. That's the match that's still going. Griffin against Muse. The score is 4-4 with less than 20 seconds to go. The man who is riding on top is Tim Griffin of Lorenz Marathon, who is undefeated this year. And so if Muse could get out, he might win. And he did. He reversed and he leads by 2. And he wins. How about that?
Well, I tell you, that's an exciting ending right there. It's a good match. Neither kid needs a... Tim Griffin doesn't need to hang his head on that one. He gave it everything he could.
Here comes Brett Muse. Now let's have the awards at 105 pounds, Class A.
5th place, Philip Morgan, Mapleton, Maple Valley. 4th place, Adam Fenn, Carson, Macedonia. 3rd place, Cale Lawman, Lorenz Marathon. Runner-up, C.C. Hoffman, Sigourney. And the 1A 105-pound state champion from Manly North Central, Matt Otten.
Matt Otten, who was rated #1 coming into the championship series, into the state meet in the Des Moines Register ratings anyway. He managed to live up to those ratings by winning in the Class A division at 98. Now we'll go to Class AA, and we'll get the top 6 place winners here. We'll have the team scores for you in an update in just a moment. We'll try to keep track. Actually, it looks as if Clinton has now clinched it in AAA.
Jeremy Sutton, Williamsburg. 5th place, Rod Riffing, Centerville. 4th place, Greg Fogelsang, Comanche. 3rd place, Rick Ford, Iowa Falls. Runner-up, Brian Wilcox, Bloomfield, Davis County. And the 2A 105-pound champion from Starmont, Strawberry Point, Kent Streicher.
That's your winner. That's your winner, Kent Streicher. He has a brother coming up ahead of him, who will be in a later weight class. Now that's the AA 105-pound lineup. We'll get the top 6 place winners now in the AAA division.
Presenting the Class 3A 105-pound awards, Coach Clyde Bean of Iowa City City High. 6th place, Dave Wilson, Council Bluffs, Thomas Jefferson. 5th place, Dave Schmidt, Boone. 4th place, G.J. Clothier, West Des Moines, Dowling. 3rd place, Brian Bayan, Ottumwa. Runner-up, Brent Lertz, Charles City. And the 3A 105-pound champion from Iowa City City High, Ken Stecker.
Ken Stecker, he got way ahead, then had to put off a last near fall situation to hold on to his victory. Let's go to Dean Borg for a report.
At 112 pounds in Class 1A, the champion is Brett Mays of Ackley, Geneva, but that wasn't decided until the last 10 seconds when a reversal on Tim Griffin of Lorenz Marathon won it for him. It was tied 4-4 up until 10 seconds. Then this reversal that you see right here happened, and that crowned Brett Mays as the champion in Class 1A at 112 pounds. Dick, what happened on your map?
All right, Dean. Troy Budden is used to getting pins from Sheldon, Iowa, and this young man came up in 1 minute and 18 seconds, put his opponent, Gail Sponsler of Johnson, on his back. Here you see it. Here he goes back. He's going to get the count at 2 right now. Troy Budden of Sheldon, your new state champion, AA at 112 pounds, and there the referee slaps the mat, and a mighty happy lad from Sheldon. Now back to you, Doug.
A lot of people would like to have the power that Sheldon has in those lower weights. That was the pin. Now we're going to go to 119 pounds. Should say that Lisbon has now moved up into 2nd place with a little extra margin over Britt. with that win in the 98-pound class. And they're bringing up Vance Light next year at 119 at the 1A. We're going to be watching the AAA match between Tam Ho of Boone and Gary Steffensmeyer, undefeated wrestler from Fort Madison, one of Mick Pickford's wrestlers.
Both of these wrestlers have been around this Veterans Auditorium for a long time. Tam Ho, this is his 4th time to the state tournament. He qualified his first 2 years, placed 6th last year, and now this is his first visit to the finals. And of course, Gary Steffensmeyer's last year's state champion. He's placed 4 years now, 4th, 5th, 1st, and now in the finals again.
And there you see up in the corner the 1A match between Bruce Obrecht of Underwood and Vance Light of Lisbon, who could be the winningest wrestler in the state of Iowa history. And at AA, Terry Brands of Sheldon, undefeated, against Chad Zaputil, undefeated from Centerville. And that's a horse match. They're really at it up there already. But we're at AAA. Tam Ho on the left with the big knee guard. He's against Gary Steffensmeyer, a most interesting, dangerous wrestler from Fort Madison.
He's very dangerous. He loves to use the legs. You just don't want to be underneath him. You think you have Steffensmeyer sometimes, and you really don't. Poof. He's there with you on your back from a cradle or whatever. He's really worked hard this year trying to get better on his feet. You get him better on his feet and take that dangerous ride he has with his legs, and you've really got an outstanding wrestler in Gary Steffensmeyer.
But Tam Ho is one of a number of wrestlers who've shown particular heart in this state tournament because he came from not winning the district. He qualified by placing 2nd, but he's come all the way to the state finals. He is just about to give up a takedown unless he can keep that arm in. He's hustling with the step across. He did a nice job.
Right, he's a strong wrestler, and here we have a lot of lankiness and a lot of leverage versus a short, stocky, real strong wrestler. Should be real interesting.
Right over there. Referees, Robert McNeil, Bob McNeil of Cedar Rapids. You may have seen him if you were watching our, I believe it was Oklahoma, Iowa State meet in our college wrestling series here on Iowa Public Television. With Tim Johnson, I'm Doug Brown, and we're bringing this live from Veterans Auditorium in Des Moines. There are 50 seconds remaining in the first 2-minute period at 119 pounds AAA. That's Ho on the right from Boone. Now Steffensmeyer, the lanky youngster, on the right now from Fort Madison.
They've had an exciting start in that 2A match with Terry Brands going for his 3rd title, getting taken down in the first 20 seconds and trailing 2-0.
Ho, a stocky wrestler, keeps forcing the action here. He seems to be controlling himself very well on the feet. Has the front headlock now. He'll try to take Steffensmeyer off his base if he can. Make something out of it, but out of bounds they go. 7 seconds to go. That's the Fort Madison coaching staff.
Coach Pickford and Riley there. They've been there a long time. Has a great tradition in Fort Madison.
Can anybody score with just this little time left? No?
Right there.
We're going to look at the standings in the 3A division. It's Clinton well out in front. They have wrapped it up with that victory in the last match there over West Des Moines Dowling. There's no way Bob Dara's young men can catch Clinton anymore, so it's the first state championship for Clinton.
And there's no way anyone can catch Dowling for 2nd and same for Charles City for 3rd.
Now we're coming back to the 2nd round, the 2nd period at 119 pounds. Now we can say that Clinton's Dan Knight will be up in the next match going for his 4th state title. That's next after this one. Tam Ho on the right. He had a nosebleed. That's why they stopped just for a second. You can see the plug in the nose. He has a reach disadvantage, but certainly he's strong.
Very strong wrestler.
They're at it again. 2nd period. They started this period on their feet.
Nice duck under action there. That was very nice takedown. A low duck, come around, cover the hips. 2 points, Steffensmeyer.
So it's now 2-0. Very cute. Now he's trying to put Ho on his back, and he's doing it. A 3-point near fall.
Boy, he uses those legs. Look at the length of those legs. Really knows how to use them. Some people are tall and they don't know how to use their length. Steffensmeyer is a great example of knowing how to use what he has.
Pickford on the left there.
There's men that's meant a lot to wrestling in all ways. He spent a lot of years developing the program. He's one of the great examples of the dedicated coaches of the sport.
Worked hard in freestyle. Steffensmeyer on top with the arm bar, going for a tilt again.
Notice how he has control of the wrist and the arm, and that's why he's stabilizing it there.
And he got another 3-point near fall. 8-0. And although Tam Ho of Boone held his own for a while on the feet, once he did lose that duck under takedown, he got himself in a real hot situation. And he's down 8-0.
Well, in the Class A match, Vance Light is leading Bruce Obrecht 9-2 in the third period with only 45 seconds left.
And in the AA match, Terry Brands, who's going for his third title, is trailing Chad Zaputil of Centerville 2-1. Another long exposure to the mat by Steffensmeyer of Tam Ho's shoulders, and the lead now goes to 11-0. At the end of the second period. Steve Paris would like to be able to come up with what it's going to take to put Mr. Steffensmeyer on the back, but that's what it's going to take, I think. 11-0 lead to overcome for Ho.
Well, we've really got an interesting one in that AA match between Brands
We're not going anywhere. Up slow.
and Zaputil. It's 2-2. 30 seconds left. Zapitil's in on a single there. It's going to be an exciting finish down there.
Steffensmeyer controlling very easily on top as they go into second period. He's leading by 11-0, and he has again an exposure of the back. This was enough for 2. It's 13-0. Another 2-point near fall is all Steffensmeyer needs to end this match by technical fall. A lot of time left.
We're not going anywhere.
Looks like we're going to go to overtime in that other match at AA. So we may get a chance to look at that yet. That's Tam Ho trailing by 13. He had a good first period, but got taken down, and he's been tilted 1, 2, 3, 4 times since. Steffensmeyer.
There he goes for it again.
This may very well end it if you keep it. He wasn't able to do it. Now.
1.
No. Needs to hold him for a count of 2.
1, 2.
That's it. That'll end it. A technical fall for Gary Steffensmeyer of Fort Madison over Tam Ho of Boone. And an undefeated season, a victory for Gary Steffensmeyer.
Shake hands, gentlemen. You bet. Good match, son.
I'm not so sure if that's Fort Madison's first 2-time state champion. I could be wrong, but he certainly capped off a brilliant career.
Outstanding career for Steffensmeyer. Once he got in the middle, he made it look easy. Now we're going to go to overtime. We're in the first of the 3 one-minute overtime periods between Brands and Zaputil. Brands of Sheldon, who is in the black uniform, is going. He's 32-0, and Chad Zaputil of Centerville who is in the light uniform, is also 32-0. And they haven't settled a thing yet. 33 seconds to go here in the AA match.
Well, I've been watching out of the corner of my eye, and Zapito really put a lot of pressure on early, but the pressure came from Brands at the end, and he was able to draw a stalling call, again, taking it into overtime. The regular match ended 2-2. There was an early takedown by Zapito, an escape by Brands, and a stalling call.
You might see two officials. You see the official out in the mat there is Bill Garner, and another official just to see his legs at the top of the mat, and they help each other out. No score in the first period, so we go to the second period. They're going to start on the feet. That's where Zapito wants to be. It was 2-2 in regular time. The only takedown was scored by Zapito very early in the match. That's out of bounds. No score. Tougher and tougher. Some of these weights are so packed with good wrestlers, and we talk about it. This AA division is well matched from top to bottom. You can't just walk out there and walk through somebody. Beautiful switch around, a spin around by Zapito. He leads Brand by 2-0 in the second period with only 8 seconds left.
He really played off of Brand, getting him in bad position, snapping him down and spinning real fast for the two. Nice reaction by Zapito.
This Centerville young man looks very, very tough, and he's trying to prevent a 3-time state record, 3-time championship record by Terry Brands. Now he has to ride in the third period to protect it. Brands turns in.
Right. Zapito wasn't able to stay behind the arms right there.
So it's 2-1. With how much time? 35 seconds. Brands could win if he got a takedown.
So far, there he goes, the snap. So far, it's the same match as in the regular part. 2 for a takedown for Zapito, 1 for an escape for Brands. 25 seconds left. You notice how Zapito's working the head. That's been successful for him. He's working the head, trying to snap down.
Out of bounds with 18 seconds, and I believe we got a stall warning. We did, from referee Bill Garner.
Repeat again, just a little shorter.
Nothing there, 7 seconds to go. That's it. And 3 championships were one too many for Zapito to allow. Chad Zapito of Centerville wins his 33rd straight match and inflicts the first defeat this year on Terry Brands of Sheldon in overtime. How about it? Let's have the awards at 112 pounds, first of all in 1A.
Rob Hess, Carson, Macedonia. 5th place, Dennis Hennick, Maxwell Collins. 4th place, Kent Harris, Nashua. 3rd place, Chad Williams, Lisbon. Runner-up, Tim Griffin, Lorenz Marathon. And the 1A 112-pound champion from Ackley, Geneva, Brett Mays.
Smile there, Brett. That's a championship for Well, he said Brett Mays. That's the unhappy loser at 119 pounds, Terry Brands, who missed out on his 3rd championship. It's a disappointing thing when you hope to make that 3rd championship.
2A 112-pound awards, Coach Galen Nelson of Sheldon.
This is double A
6th
now.
place, Matt Fogelsang, Comanche. 5th place, Eric Stotts, Norwalk. 4th place, Mike Harks, Independence. 3rd place, Todd Harper, Glenwood. Runner-up, Cale Sponsler, Johnston. And the 2A 112-pound champion from Sheldon, Troy Budden.
He was tough all the way through this tournament. He won one pin in his quarterfinal match in 1 minute and 15 seconds on his way to that championship. Now coming up onto the platform, we have the winners, the top 6 place winners at 112 pounds for AAA.
3A 112-pound awards, Coach Bob Luters of Clinton. 6th place, Mark Morgan, Ames. 5th place, Jeremy Reinert, Cedar Rapids, Washington. 4th place, Tim Ross, Charles City. 3rd place, Jeff Filer, West Des Moines, Dowling. Runner-up, Ed Lee, Council Bluffs, Abraham Lincoln. And the 3A 112-pound champion from Clinton, Baron Hendricks.
Baron Hendricks, undefeated season, part of a state championship team. Let's get a floor report from Dean Borg.
Well, the Light family has another gold medal. You remember that Shane won one for Lisbon at 98 pounds, and now brother Vance added one. Vance is a senior, 18-year-old senior from Lisbon. He decisions 11-3, Bruce Obrecht of Underwood. Actually, Light led this match all the way. It was 7-2 after 2 periods. He added another couple of takedowns in the 3rd period and went on to win 11-3. So Vance Light is the champion at 119 pounds. Doug?
And that is another of Alberta Light's grandsons.
131 wins makes him the winningest wrestler ever in the history.
Undefeated Iowa high school wrestlers. Those are the ones who went through their entire careers without a loss. Kerber, Knight, Gable.
One more for Knight.
And Knight is not quite there because he's coming yet. Here at 126 pounds, it isn't settled. He has to get through this one against Andy Price of Burlington at 126 pounds. Andy Price.
He's already wrestled Andy once this year, and like all of his opponents, he either technical faulted him or pinned him. He really works the head, really looks for that fall.
And already Knight's got him on his, has him down with a takedown for 2-0, and he has him in that bar arm, and oh, does it look serious. College coaches in the stands, they're the ones reaching for the handkerchiefs because they're drooling all over. 4 straight championships. Well, Tim, is he tough or is he tough?
Well, he hasn't wrestled anybody tougher. He's really quite a story from a great family. As the 12,000 plus fans tonight give him a standing ovation. There's no greater thrill for either the coach or the wrestler.
Well, Dan Knight wins his 4th.
Right here, he just drives the half in, shoulder, shoulder, underhooks the opposite arm, and notice what got it for him here was that hook leg. He kept that leg hook, stabilized it, and that way he couldn't kick out. Price couldn't.
We're going to be going on to one of the other matches here quickly, but Tim, tell me about that. You know how that feels. You've been the coach of a 4-time state champion.
It's really a unique feeling. When Greg Randall jumped into my arms, I sent him out and I said, you can make history tonight, Greg. And when he jumped in my arms afterwards, I said, you've just made history, and that's exactly what young Dan Knight just did.
We're going to the 1A match next at 126 pounds. We're going to see Chad Dietz of Marengo, Iowa Valley wrestle Troy Brenning from Gilbertville, Don Bosco. Don Bosco has this 1A championship all locked up. And Don Bosco is in the lighter color, the blue, and Marengo, Iowa Valley wears the dark, the black on the right. The score here is 2-1 in favor of Dietz. I hope I'm getting your name right, young man. We try to check all these out ahead of time, and then all of a sudden somebody says it differently. So we do the best we can do. They're back to the center. Dietz is 34-1. And Troy Brenning from Gilbertville Don Bosco had 3 draws this year, and he lost 4 times in 29 matches. They've reached the end of the first period. Don Bosco goes down. In the 2A match, we have Comanche's Brent Karstensen wrestling for the title with Eagle Grove's Dave Messerly. It's the first of Eagle Grove's power lineup. They're winning the AA championship, and they're doing it with the strength through the middle. Dietz on top.
He's got a tough ride on Brenning here. He's doing a nice job. Right when I say that, Brenning gets away, makes it a 2-2 match.
Brenning had a tough one in his semifinal round match with John Meyer of East Buchanan. It was 1-0, but he got here. Two. We're watching at 1A because Dan Knight won at his 4th state title with a very quick pin tonight over Andy Price at Burlington.
Well, Dietz is in on a real tight Kelly here if he can finish it up. But he's not able to.
No.
Brenning's able to hip out there and really can put it into a neutral situation.
The period has 42 seconds to go as they stop here. Seconds. Again, you saw Dietz come under.
Right, he was a little duck, kind of high crotch action, although he just ducked to the body, came under with a bear hug and took him down.
Sort of a hybrid of a number of different things. That's one of those moves you call him. Just get hold of him and put him down.
Grab down.
Makes it 4-2. Has a pretty good lock on Brenning's arm too, and enabled him to control the last part of that period. So we go to the 3rd period now, 4-2. We're going to show you the standings currently in the 1A class, which these wrestlers represent. Gilbertville Don Bosco has a lock on it. But Lisbon has put a little distance between themselves and Britt, although Britt has some wrestlers coming in later weights. Don Bosco's Brenning just lost another 2 points in a takedown at 6-2. Chad Dietz wrestling for a state championship for Iowa Valley High School of Marengo.
Over in the 2A match, there's a minute and a half left, and Messerly leads 9-4 over Brent Karstensen from Comanche. Messerly of Eagle Grove leading 9-4 over Karstensen from Comanche in the 3rd period with a minute and a half left.
Marv Ryland had his team ready to wrestle again this year. They were tough again.
Boy, it's so tough to repeat. That's really a lot of credit to the Eagle Grove program.
We're going to see some of their people a little later on, and including the coach's son wrestle.
Speaking of one of the blue chippers.
Yeah, that's exactly right. 6-3 after the escape by Brenning. We have less than a minute to go. Brenning of Don Bosco in the blue against Dietz of Iowa Valley in the black. Dietz leads, controlling both arms on the feet. But he's not going to be able to do anything offensive with that position, and Mike Allen calls him off, sends him back to work again in the center.
There he goes with that little, he goes from the right underhook and ducks to the left side. He wasn't able to complete it this time. It's a nice little move, but Brenning's trying to turn it into 2 for him.
Here he comes.
But he's not going to make it either. They kind of got a standoff right here on the feet.
Yeah, he had a crossface, I thought, for just a second. He might have had a chance to go around, but Dietz got his head out, and Mike Allen calls them back to their feet again. Only 10 seconds to go in this match. 10 seconds to a state title for Dietz. Maybe. Yep. Brenning had to throw, and he's on his own back now. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. And unfortunately, nothing gained anyway this time, because Chad Dietz of Marengo, Iowa Valley is the winner at 126 pounds in the single A division.
Real good win for that Iowa Valley young man. Good for the program at Iowa Valley. Coach Loftus there. Very happy coach.
Now we're going down to double A because we have 10 seconds left here. And whoa,
what a finish.
What a finish. This is Karstensen maybe putting Messerly away at the end.
And he did.
A three-point near ball to win 10-9. How about that?
Man, I'll tell you. He came down from 9-4, came back with those cradle situations, and with 7 seconds left, put Messerly on his back for 3 more to win it 10-9.
And Dave Messerly, of course, can't believe it. And Brent Karstensen, with his happy coach Michael Ashby, celebrates winning a championship. His coach is the coach of the year. Here are the champions at 119 pounds now at the other end of the arena in Class A, first of all.
5th place, Jansen Carlson, Mapleton, Maple Valley. 4th place, Lynn Silver, Ackley, Geneva. 3rd place, Tom Hogan, Gilbertville, Don Bosco. Runner-up, Bruce Obrecht, Underwood. And in winning the 119-pound championship, fans, this gentleman has established a new Iowa high school record for career victories with his 131st victory. Vance Light of Lisbon. Let's recognize this special achievement.
In the history of the sport in the state of Iowa, nobody's won more matches in high school than Vance Light.
They're giving him a standing ovation. I just took off my headset to listen, and it was it was great.
He's not through yet, is he? Because he gets the team championships.
That's right. Next week, Lisbon will be competing in those team championships. He gets a chance to load it on, put a little icing on the cake.
Class 2A,
let's go to 2A.
19-pound awards. Coach Mike Halupnik of Centerville. 6th place, Sean Sweeney, Osage. 5th place, Scott Hassel, Spirit Lake. 4th place, Brad Gazaway, Eagle Grove. 3rd place, Randy Vogel, Comanche. Runner-up, Terry Brands, Sheldon. And the Class 2A 119-pound champion from Centerville, Chad Zapital.
The happy winner. You can always tell the matches that have just been run. The unhappiest looking person is always the person on the second step who just lost. The happiest is the one on the top. And the other wrestlers have had a little time to let it settle. And it's not quite the emotional situation it was maybe a few hours ago.
Presenting the Class 3A 119-pound awards, Coach Mick Pickford of Fort Madison. 6th place, Eldridge Brantley, Clinton. 5th place, Tom Rose, Keokuk. 4th place, Joel Scarborough, Waterloo, Columbus. 3rd place, Brad Brule, Fort Dodge. Runner-up, Tam Ho, Boone. And the Class 3A 119-pound champion from Fort Madison, Gary Steffensmeyer.
He had an impressive victory tonight. Let's go for a floor report to Dick Trotter.
At the AA at 126 pounds, Brent Karstensen trailed throughout the entire match, but you'll see right here in the last few seconds, the last 4 or 5 seconds, he turned Dave Messerly of Eagle Grove to his back. The referee's counting now, and he's going to get 3 points. He pulls the match out to win 10-9 in one of the meet's more exciting matches. Brent Karstensen, the new state champion, over Dave Messerly of Eagle Grove. Now let's go to Dean Board.
And I have a very special guest, is Dan Knight of Clinton, who got a standing ovation here just a few minutes ago. He is only the 3rd wrestler in Iowa history to be never a loss in high school.
Well, so far so good. We got still a dual meet competition left coming up on Tuesday.
You're not expecting to lose in that.
Well, I hope not, but never know.
125 wins so far, then, isn't that right?
Yes.
As you started way back, how did you discipline yourself to do this?
Well, I think it's a lot of, you have to wrestle all year round anymore to, catch up on anybody, but you just have to, keep it all around or else you won't get...
Look, on the screen there right now is what happened tonight. How did you plan that?
Well, I hope I've concentrated a lot on a half and things and just hope that I catch that arm and take it over.
And you sure did in just a few seconds. Any advice you'd have for young men just starting out in their wrestling career now?
Well, just like I said before, you got to concentrate all year round. It can't just be 3 months out of the year. You got to dedicate a little bit more time to it.
Dan Knight of Clinton, so far the winningest, or no, I shouldn't say that way, only the 3rd person in Iowa history to go undefeated in his high school career. Doug?
Thank you, Dean. We're going to 132 pounds now, and we're shifting over to the single A division. Gilbertville Don Bosco is represented here by Jim Benda in the blue on the right against David Avila of Corning. They're going for the state championship at the single A division. They've wrestled about 30 seconds here on one of the 3 mats that are going in Veterans Auditorium, where we're covering the Iowa Wrestling Championships live.
Well, you notice Avila really likes to take control of the head and work that front headlock. Working the head there, trying to get Benda out of position.
There is the double A division up in the right corner. That's a good match. Mike Marino of Glenwood against Kurt Benetham of Alaman, North Polk High School in Alaman. And at the AAA division, Dowling has Tim Anderson against Cedar Rapids Jefferson's Greg Garman for the championship. Dowling is going to finish 2nd this year in the AAAs behind Clinton. And the young man in blue here, Jim Benda, is on the state championship team because Don Bosco has it locked up. He just blocked off Avila's double leg maneuvering underneath. And Avila locks up from above with a front headlock.
Short little drag action here. Almost got takedown for him, but then it led Benda into this single leg that he has. He just needs to finish it.
Avila
now he's into a fireman's carry. He's taken 3 moves. He had a short drag into a single, into a fireman's carry, and now to the back. It's a good example for wrestlers in the series wrestling. He didn't stop with 1 move. He got 2 back points.
And it's now 4-0.
Good job by Benda there.
They get good coaching on this Don Bosco team. Dan Mashik.
Coach Mashik has really developed a program that's really never down. It's a solid program.
On top goes Avila to start the 2nd period. He trails 4-0. He really wants to get some back points if he can. He'd hate to have to give up an escape and be down 5-0.
He's a good mat wrestler. He likes to control on top. He likes to work bar arms, as you see right here, controlling the wrist, attempting to, keeping Benda flat.
Worked for a cradle, but couldn't lock it up. He's a little high now. Situation still isn't resolved for points.
Here we have far leg fireman's carry for a reversal. He got into that good position there and got 2 more.
So it's 6-0 in favor of Jim Benda of Don Bosco. And he's on top with 1:10 to go in the 2nd period.
Here Benda's controlling the wrist and trying to turn him, and got a little
A little bit too far out.
6-1.
Avila was able to clear the hips and get out for 1 point.
Less than a minute to go in the second period. Benda leads on the basis of a couple of nice takedowns and a reversal. Now he's working from a...
Right, he's got a neck wrench situation.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of a cow catcher, what I call a cow catcher. He got out of it, though.
Right.
Good job by Avila coming on through.
Avila managed to duck that one.
That was a bullet.
It was 8-2. And Benda's controlling the head so well. Avila is not able to penetrate.
In the AA match, which we were talking about, Mike Marino is leading Kurt Benetham 4-1 and gathering more points right now.
And in AAA, it's Greg Garman of Jefferson of Cedar Rapids leading Anderson of Dowling 5-3 with just a few seconds left in the second period. 5-4 now. As a matter of fact, Anderson just took the lead 6-5.
And Marino's gone out in front 9-1 in his match in AA.
Here we are at 1A again. Benda of Don Bosco starts the third period on top, leading 8-2. Avila of Corning is unable to prevent the leg from going in. And the other one, too. You almost have to depend on kindness from the referee here to get out of that one, because until Benda moved over to the side.
Now Benda was able to drop down to the leg here to prevent the escape by Avila, but now he's got to move up.
He got the leg out, got his arm out. Avila looks like he might be able to work this for a reversal. See how the leg situation changes. No.
Wasn't able to get the leg out from inside. They came to a stalemate.
With 1:08 to go. David Avila of Corning on the bottom, trailing 8-2. That's it. That's David. Benda's where he likes to be.
Likes to cover his opponent with his legs and his hips.
The roll fails.
Right there, keeping his hips on top of Avila's hips. He'd get in trouble if they got lower, but right here he was able to keep him on top with the legs in, and now he's really got Avila down flat.
The referee feels that the situation is not working Benda toward a fall, so he calls it back off. Calls it back up to the referee's position with 38 seconds to go in the third period here. 8-2, Benda leads. Roll. Almost got stalled in the middle there. That's not what Avila was looking for. Another roll. Failed.
Right here, he's trying to control the hands. If he can control the hands, he can get out, which he did.
8-3.
The secret is controlling those hands.
And Benda was the man who made the shot from the outside. He has only 10 seconds to go, but he's doing the offensive shooting here. And I think the situation is going to be right about here as the match ends. It's going to stay the way it is right now. 8-3, the winner, Jim Benda of Gilbertville Don Bosco, the state team champion, or the state, yes, the team champion here. It's going to be harder and harder to say that, you know, with the team championships, the dual meets coming up. Team champion crowns an individual champion. We're going to 2A. We told you about Marino of Glenwood against Benetham of North Polk. And we're looking at it right now. The score is 9-2 in favor of Marino. But Marino is on the bottom. He's in the black uniform, being ridden hard by Benetham with 25 seconds to go. I don't think Marino minds as long as he doesn't get on his back. Official Gene Luttrell brings him back out into the middle again.
Well, Marino's had a great tournament. He beat previously undefeated Stacy Wright and Rice from Storm Lake in the semifinals, defending state champion. And then he beat Mark Russa from Eagle Grove in the semifinals. So,
and Russa has been undefeated.
Right. Marino's really capping off a great year here.
The winner
for the Glenwood High School product. This was his 4th year at the state tournament. He'd placed 5th and 3rd the last 2 years, and now the state champion, Mike Marino.
And he's had a lot of heart. He won 10-2. Wouldn't be surprised if there are a few coaches looking at him too. He beat some good people here along the way. Here are the winners of the top 6 positions at Class A 126.
6th place, Matt McAreevy, Goodman, Fairbury. 5th place, Joe Gilbert, Bellevue. 4th place, John Meyer, Winthrop, East Buchanan. 3rd place, Doug James, Britt. Runner-up, Troy Brenning, Gilbertville, Don Bosco. And the Class 1A 126-pound champion from Marengo, Iowa Valley, Chad Dietz.
Chad Dietz, who beat Troy Brenning of Gilbertville, Don Bosco. The 1A top 6 lead the stand and make way for
Class 2A
double A.
126-pound awards, Coach Michael Ashby of Comanche. 6th place, Chad Overman, Dallas Center Grimes. 5th place, Mike Koenig, West Liberty. 4th place, Tracy Tucker, Spirit Lake. 3rd place, Tom Judy, Sumner. Runner-up, Dave Messerly, Eagle Grove. And the Class 2A 126-pound champion from Comanche, Brent Karstensen.
Who won it in literally the last second with a near fall.
I think the 3 points came on that last second.
Well, you know, there have been some big emotional victories, and on the opposite side, each one of them was a heart-wrenching defeat for somebody. A lot of emotion in this sport when people have worked as hard as they have to work.
Presenting the Class 3A 126-pound awards, Coach Bob Luders of Clinton. 6th place, Chad Payne, Iowa City West. 5th place, Les Stout, Charles City. 4th place, Danny Teskey, Fort Dodge. 3rd place, Rob Watt, Ames. Runner-up from Burlington, Andy Price. And in winning the 126-pound championship, he has become only the 7th wrestler in Iowa history to win 4-time state championships and the 2nd to go undefeated in his wrestling career, Dan Knight, Clinton.
And again, the crowd stands for tribute to a fine young man from Clinton who just happens to be a good wrestler besides.
Very well put. It's very important to the sport and to high school athletics to have kids like him.
Let's go to Dick Trotter.
Hey, Tim Anderson made Coach Bob Dara of West Des Moines Dowling a very, very happy man tonight indeed, as he had a very tough match with Greg Garvin of Cedar Rapids Jefferson and came out the winner by the margin of 10-7. Anderson will be back next year. He's just a junior, defeating Garvin with 2 near falls in the 3rd period. Doug?
Let's take a look at the AA figures here in the team scores right now to see if any changes have been made a little bit down the line. These are the 2A standings. Eagle Grove has it wrapped up. Sheldon in 2nd place in Comanche, 3rd. Starmont with the Strikers is in 4th place. Emmetsburg has a man coming up here right now at AA at 138 pounds. We may get a chance to see part of that match, but we're going to start at single A. That's Steve Hamilton going for a championship for Emmetsburg, another of the blue chippers in the state. We're just going by what we hear and maybe by what we see as well. But at 138 pounds, we'll be at single A. This is a battle of the unbeatens, too, between Sam McElrath of Semco High School in Gilman, just 35 and zip this year, that's all. And his opponent is Vince Miller of Plainfield, 28-0.
And the defending state champion from 132 last year, the 4-time state qualifier, his 2nd time in the finals, and he has won over 100 matches in his high school career.
And I suppose untold numbers in freestyle and that sort of thing in the summer. So many of these youngsters wrestle, as you heard Dan Knight say, all year round. All right, McElrath is wearing the black leggings. You don't always see that, the tights anymore. But Vince Miller is in the other black uniform with a single black knee pad.
With a nice high crotch, the single cut off to a double. It really looked good in the takedown.
At 2A, there's Steve Hamilton in the dark uniform trying to take down Jim Beamer of Osage. They are going for the championship there. Two Northern Iowa wrestlers. And at 3A, it's Travis Young of Indianola trying to stay undefeated in his quest for a title against John Hippernan of Council Bluffs, Lincoln.
Vince Miller really going to work here in the first 40 seconds. The takedown, no back points yet, but he's really working hard.
Out of bounds. Referee is Donald Holmes. Don Holmes. And is this what they're calling mat judge situation? I think the mat judge here is Bob McNeil of Cedar Rapids.
Right here on the single leg. Now he cuts off, you see, and lifts. He just lifts with his hips, hooks in with his leg, covers the hips, and gets two. That was a nice lift. You can see that he didn't do it with his arms. He did it with his hips.
And he has the leg in now. Vince Miller in tight with the leg. Trying to, he's working for the guillotine there.
He's looking for everything. He's been trying to tilt. He's got the legs on here looking for the guillotine. He's really trying to find out what's the combination because he wants it. Says, I know I hold the key here someplace. I just want to use it.
So Sam McElrath, who's down by 2, needs to find a combination to make something work, put Miller off a little bit. Sat out immediately. But Miller is a good tight waist. He bars the arm. He controls that arm so tightly that McElrath hasn't been able to move. Oh, just forced him.
Well, he caught him coming up, hit him with a headlock. And right here, you can bet he's just going to settle in.
Let's check the time. 15 seconds to go.
This is foreign waters for McElrath as he is 35-0.
A real struggle to stay out of there for McElrath. The period ends. It's a 3-point near fall, 5-0 Miller.
Well, Miller caught him coming up. It looked like McElrath was going to possibly get an escape. Instead, it was a mistake.
Yeah, sure was.
And Miller caught him with a headlock.
Well, Miller is dominated here in the first period, but there are 2 periods to go. McElrath of Semco, coached by Bill Voigt. Oh, he got caught coming in on he couldn't clear his head, and he's in trouble again.
He's got his shoulder blades down. It's a pin.
An amazing performance by Miller. Boy, didn't he look good.
Well, we haven't seen anyone tonight yet, except for Dan Knight, that dominated his opponent like that. That was really a intense, strong match for Vince Miller. Second state championship.
Amazing performance by this young man. Vince Miller of Plainfield.
I think he just made a few college scouts stand up and look.
I think so.
He looked good. Had good position, good moves.
Boy, he knew what to do when the chance
right
came.
Here, he has him chest to chest. He's got the neck wrenched right here, and his shoulder blades don't have anywhere to go but down deeper into the mat.
Somebody might say, well, okay, maybe the double A's and the triple A's could beat him, but I look at his record. That's 29-0. Nobody's proved it yet this year.
Well, like I said, he has won over 100 matches in his career. He's a good-looking prospect.
Let's go to 2A because there's another prospect over here you got a chance to see. He's the man who's just settling down into the top position there. He's Steve Hamilton of Emmitsburg, who leads 13-3 right at the end of the second period against Jim Beamer of Osage. And Hamilton is undefeated as well. He's looking for his second state championship.
He's one of the blue chippers again that we talk about. He's one of the ones that a lot of college scouts say could go anywhere he wants to, really develop into a good All-American wrestler.
13-4. He went in and got the takedown 15-4. An 11-point lead with just a few seconds gone in this last period.
Steve Hamilton won his first state title as a sophomore and then got second last year, going for his second this year. He's placed every year. Clint Young has a good program at Emmitsburg year in, year out.
He's wrestling very confidently. You see all.
Well, he's wrestling also against a Osage wrestler, and speaking of good programs year in and year out, Bill Andrews always has good programs there.
The green of Osage.
Very proud of their wrestling there in Osage, Iowa, and rightly so.
You name some of the greatest wrestlers that have ever come out of the state of Iowa from Osage. The Lehmans and maybe the Schwabs yet to come.
Over in 3A, we have a real close match. It's 6-6 with less than a minute left. That's Travis Young from Indianola and John Hiffernan from Council Bluffs, Lincoln. 6-6 with 50 seconds left.
We're at 138 pounds. Iowa Public Television's live coverage of the State Wrestling Championships of Iowa 1987 edition. That's Steve Hamilton. He leads by 12 with 48 seconds. He'd like to get a technical fall by piling up a 15-point difference.
Well, he's done that against everyone this year. Either technical or pinned everyone except Holtbeck from Eagle Grove. So he's used to those kind of wins. Beamer, on the other hand, was runner-up in sectionals, runner-up in districts, and now runner-up in state. That's an interesting road to the finals.
It is.
Shows what a competitor he is.
A cradle now by Hamilton. He's got it locked up. This could be trouble. This will end it.
And over in AAA, we're going to possibly have an overtime. It's a real scramble here with 5 seconds left.
That's the end. Hamilton of Emmitsburg, winner by a technical fall over Jim Beamer of Osage.
And it's overtime on the AAA. So we get to see
all three.
All three.
Yeah, we started out with the single A's here. That's Steve Hamilton with his coaches.
We made everybody happy out there now.
At least for part of the time. Sam McElrath was defeated by Vince Miller of Plainfield at 1A to start on a just a devastating look out, here he comes again performance by Vince Miller. And then Steve Hamilton of Emmitsburg beat Jim Beamer of Osage in a technical fall, so we go to AAA between Travis Young and John Hiffernan. Now that's Indianola. That's Travis Young. He's undefeated. And John Hiffernan of Council Bluffs, Lincoln, has lost only once this year. The referee will be Mark Bean when they come out to start the overtime, 1 period. And wrestling fans, there's more wrestling coming your way too. International freestyle wrestling, as the United States meets the Soviet Union April 4th at 7:00 p.m. here on Iowa Public Television. The USA national team will have an unbelievable lineup, including 1984 Olympic gold medalist Mark Schultz and Bruce Baumgartner, Goodwill Games gold medalist John Smith, Barry Davis, Mark Schwab, and Nate Carr will compete. Dan Gable, Mark Johnson, and Olympic coach for 1988, Jim Humphrey, will coach the squad. That's USA-USSR Wrestling, 7:00 on April 4th at Saturday night. Now you see Hiffernan exposing Young's back after taking him down. He's going to be called for locking hands. Did he get a near fall?
They didn't give it to him. I thought he was counting there, but it wasn't enough. So it's 2-1 after 20 seconds.
Clark Allen has his second finalist here for Lincoln of Council Bluffs. Young trying to get his act together and make a reversal here. Needs to get his head out, can't do it, and it's going to be a stalemate. 12 seconds to go. They have a 1 minute. First period, second period, and third. Young needs this escape. But he couldn't get it. Get into these overtimes, it's tough. Water, 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 huh? Now Heffernan starts on top. Young escapes to tie the match at 2-2. Young in the purple of Indianola, or in the blue. Yes, it's the purple on the Indianola on the right.
Well, things haven't really changed. 2-2, it's just as close as ever. They're really having a tight match coming down here into the last few minutes.
And 138. Travis Young had to beat an undefeated wrestler in his semifinal match, Alan Lovell of Marshalltown, to get here. He won 5-2. And John Heffernan won his semifinal match against Des Moines Hoover wrestler. 9-5 to get into this spot. Front headlock for Heffernan, but he's not getting any advantage, and they come out to a tie-up with almost no time left in this period. 138. We still have a lot of fine wrestlers yet to come. And we're going to get to the Eagle Grove team again before too long. At 155, we'll see Mark Ryland wrestling. Heffernan managed to escape to make it 3-2. And there aren't any more periods for Young to catch up with that. That locked hands is beginning to look tough.
Well, Young's tried to make a few shots here only to be stopped by a strong defense of Heffernan.
Oh, Young got it in the leg.
Right there, persistence pays off.
He finally got it.
He was in 5 times to none by Heffernan there in the last little while.
16 seconds to go.
4-3 lead for Travis Young
for a state championship. Somebody moved too quickly. Heffernan on the bottom. That's a caution. He needs a point. He got up quickly. Eight seconds to go. If he were to manage to escape here, then you go to criteria. He can't break the hands.
Nope.
He can't do it. And Travis Young wins undefeated season at a state championship. Good man.
A real happy Travis Young and Wes Creason. Coach Wes Creason at Indianola.
Well, 2 close but no cigar situations for Council Bluffs Abraham Lincoln tonight. They lost earlier in with Ed Lee going against Baron Hendricks. Let's have the award winners now at 132 pounds, 1A.
4th place, Mike Eagle, Woodward Granger. 3rd place, Kwong Van Low, Rock Valley. Runner-up, David Avila, Corning. And the 132-pound 1A champion from Gilbertville, Don Bosco, Jim Benda.
Jim Benda. Attaboy, Jim. So the 1A winners, Gilbertville, Don Bosco, the team champion here in 1A division. Now we're coming up with the 2As, 132 pounds.
Presenting the Class 2A 132-pound awards, Coach Bob Dyer of Glenwood. place, Mike Levitt, Clarinda. 5th place, Stacy Rice, Storm Lake. 4th place, Kurt Voves, Cresco, Crestwood. 3rd place, Mark Russa, Eagle Grove. Runner-up, Kurt Benetham, Olivan, North Polk. And the 132 2A champion from Glenwood, Mike Marino.
Such a good year Mike had. Couldn't have been better. An undefeated season and a championship. That's the 2A winner from Glenwood. And at 132 pounds, we're going to look at the top 6 in 3A.
Presenting the Class 3A 132-pound awards, Coach Bob Dara of West Des Moines Dowling. 6th place, Steve Barnes, Council Bluffs, Thomas Jefferson. 5th place, Earl Harrison, Cedar Rapids, Washington. 4th place, Brian Bozeman, Burlington. 3rd place, Rick Caldwell, Marshalltown. Runner-up, Greg Garman, Cedar Rapids, Jefferson. And the Class 3A 132-pound champion from West Des Moines Dowling, Tim Anderson.
You just saw Steve Hamilton win a championship for Emmetsburg, and Dean Borg is talking with Steve down at the end of the mat. Dean?
Yes, and here he is, another state championship back to Emmetsburg. You won at 126 state championship, then you came in second last year at 135. Tonight sort of avenged that, but I'm wondering, why did you come in second last year? Just a different wrestler, a stronger man?
Yeah, I wasn't on a weight program last year, and I decided over the summer I'd get on a good weight program and wrestle a little freestyle and get better on my feet, and it turned out all right.
So you changed your wrestling style. You moved up a weight.
Yeah, I changed. I used to throw a lot, and I just changed all around. I do more leg shots, and I try to get a lot more aggressive on the mat.
Now tonight, you just couldn't get that pin.
No, I ain't used to pinning people very often. I like the technical fall.
Now, they're going to shorten the wrestling season in 1988 by 1 week. Would you like to see that?
Yeah. Oh, it's too grueling on the kids. You get younger kids in 9th and 10th grade, they're not mature enough to wrestle.
Thank you.
4.5 months.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep, thanks.
Congratulations. Doug?
Interesting point there from Steve Hamilton. We're going to go now to 145 pounds, and we're still at 1A. And we're going to see Ron Finch of Britt wrestle Kent Purdy of Gilbertville Don Bosco. Boy, all these Don Boscos, you see why they're number 1.
That's right. Don Bosco has a lot in the finals. Britt, year in and year out, they just have a real great program under Al De Leon.
Now Britt is in the red, and we're going to look at the other match too. Rick Coltbed of Eagle Grove is in here against Doug Stryker of Starmont of Strawberry Point at 2A. And at AAA, Keith Linden of Sioux City Heelan will wrestle Newton's Kurt McDermott for the championship.
What I see interesting here is we have a young man in Kent Purdy who has lost 6 times, showing no respect for the undefeated Ron Finch. It's really looks already like a brawl out there. It's great.
Purdy won the opening tussle with a takedown, and after the escape, he leads 2-1. 145 pounds. Well, we saw earlier Dan Knight win his 4th straight championship, and we saw Terry Brands of Sheldon, the disappointed loser in his quest for a 3rd title. He didn't make it. We have yet to see how Chelsvig of Webster City does at 67.
Right here, Finch is trying to work off the front headlock, trying to get around so he can hook up either a cradle or just get his 2 points. But Purdy is able to hold on to that elbow and keep it tight and get the stalemate. They got out of bounds, actually.
Two to one for the man in red and in blue.
Purdy really likes to control that elbow, either to go down for a single leg or to use it in a Kelly situation, but Finch is doing a good job so far at defensing it.
Coltfed and Stryker are 2-2 in AA, by the way, Tim. Purdy against Finch. This is the first time we've had a chance to see a Brit wrestler in the finals. They've been in a scramble with Lisbon for 2nd place, and they're going to have to do well with Finch here and later on with Don Finch. and Pat Kelly at 185 and heavyweight.
Well, Keith Linden has jumped out to an early lead, 2-0 over Kirk McDermott in the AAA match. Linden from Sioux City Healing leading 2-0 over McDermott from Newton.
Takedown for Finch. A Brit.
Big takedown with less than 10 seconds left in the period. Those are always so big, and they always make so much difference in a match.
3-2. How about that? One period in. And here are the standings in the 1A division. Gilbertville, Don Bosco, of course, has it wrapped up. You see where Britt stands with Lisbon. They are now 9.5 points behind, but this is the first of the Britt wrestlers to come into the finals now. There are 2 Finches, as we said, and then there's Kelly up at heavyweight. Lisbon still has Butterus ahead, so that one isn't quite decided. But Britt's going to have to really go here. Everybody has to win.
What Finch is saying right here is that Purdy is holding on to his arm and actually isn't doing much of an offense from underneath. And he was making a good point there.
He's trying to guillotine. Oh, that didn't work out so well.
Oh, he was really cranking for it.
One thing to get the man over, and then you have to stop him. Score is 3-2 in favor of Finch. 3-3. With just about a minute to go in the second period. Kent Purdy at Gilbertville, Don Bosco in the blue, who's obviously had a great last part of the season because he's lost 6 times this year against undefeated Ron Finch of Britt, who is in the red. And of course, the thing is, too, Britt in that north central part of the state wrestles a lot of AA teams or powers in that area. Their competition is not against all small schools. Finch has the lead on a single. Seconds to go. I think we caught you had the right man on the single leg, and I called the other one there, Tim.
Well, it ended up into quite a scramble there. They're 3-3 match with 10 seconds left in the second period.
2 aggressive types, too. Not for the faint-hearted out there. Second period is over. We go to the third. We're tied 3-all. That's Dan Masher. He's the Don Bosco coach.
He used to be the mayor of Gilbertville. That's how popular he is in Gilbertville.
Declare state tournament day a holiday and make everybody go to Des Moines. Huh?
They do that automatically in Gilbertville. It's a wrestling crazy town.
See Finch underneath trying to counter the bar arm series by hooking that arm and rolling with it, but he's not going anywhere. Purdy's doing a heck of a job on top. Finch's roll didn't work. Purdy comes right out on top where he started.
Well, Doug Stryker just won the state championship Ran his record to 36-0, winning 7-4 over Rick Coltvet in the AA. Striker from Starmont, Strawberry Point, winning the championship. Right here is just kind of it's a roll, but Purdy was able to stay right with him.
3-3. We have just less than a minute to go as Purdy starts on top. I don't know. He plans to. I'm sure he plans to ride the match out. Take a near fall is what he'd like to get.
Well, and it's also they're wanting he's probably wanting the bottom man to be called for stalling here, but he's really got to get out to the side more. He's staying pretty parallel. There's your stalling. So he has been warned on the bottom.
But an escape by Finch would win the match. Oh, a pretty one, and it's an escape for Finch. He leads now 5-3 with 10 seconds to go. For last-second heroics. And Finch of Britt keeps his team alive for second place.
And keeps his record perfect for the year. 36-0 for Ron Finch from Britt, state champion.
5-3 with a reversal in the last 10 seconds.
Right here, he just hauls off and goes for broke. Yeah. Did a little somersault action and came out on top.
And there it is, the awards now at 138 in single A.
Runner-up, Sam McElrath, Semco Gilman. The 138 1A champion from Plainfield, Vince Miller.
What a performance he gave tonight. We really impressed by that. He won over Sam McElrath on a fall and ran his record to 29-0. That's the 1A champion at 138. Now the award winners are coming up for 2A.
Presenting the Class 2A 138-pound awards, Coach Clint Young of Emmitsburg. 6th place, Bob Ohl, Starmont, Strawberry Point. 5th place, Matt Burns, Cedar Rapids, LaSalle. 4th place, Dan Zemet, Northeast Community, Goose Lake. 3rd place, Eric Rolfstead, Sheraton. Runner-up, Jim Beamer, Osage. And the Class 2A 138-pound champion from Emmitsburg, Steve Hamilton.
A two-time champion and a very fine wrestler. He was devastating this year, all year long. So those are the 2A winners. We go down to 3A at 138 pounds.
Presenting the Class 3A 138-pound awards, Coach Wes Creason of Indianola. 6th place, Jerry Dunham, Des Moines Lincoln. 5th place, Clay Gills, Des Moines Hoover. 4th place, Troy Johnson, Webster City. 3rd place, Alan Lovell, Marshalltown. Runner-up, John Hiffernan, Council Bluffs, Abraham Lincoln. And the Class 3A 138-pound champion from Indianola, Travis Young.
Travis Young from Indianola. He had a good one, and he managed to win it. Well, let's go to Dean Borg for a floor report.
Well, Doug Stryker of Starmont Strawberry Point is champion, his second championship. He's 2A at 145 pounds. He decisioned Rick Colquitt 7-4. Actually, Doug Stryker built up a 7-2 lead after 2 periods and then hung on against a real flurry at the end by Rick Colquitt of Eagle Grove, but Colquitt just could not get the back points that he needed, and Stryker repeats as a state champion. Dick?
Okay, Doug, Keith Linden is your state champion in Class 3A at 145 pounds. Keith had little trouble here. Well, I shouldn't say that. He won 7-4. He's a mighty happy lad as he defeats Kirk McDermott of Newton by the margin of 7-4. Now back to you, Doug.
We're going to take a look at AA wrestlers from here on in the next 4 matches. from 155, 67, 85 through heavyweight. And the first pairing in AA will match undefeated Mark Ryland, another of the Blue Chippers. He's from Eagle Grove, against Cedar Rapids LaSalle's Mike Kane.
He got right in on a front headlock and did a nice snap and just chucked him on by. And he's real slick.
And up at 1A, we have Greg Hoying of George, who Tim Johnson tells me is maybe one of the very best 1A wrestlers in the entire tournament, against Dan Kopriva of Traer, North Tama of Traer. And 3A, Mike Angrick of Des Moines Roosevelt wrestles Matt Reckemer of Waverly Shell Rock.
This Ryland is really slick on his feet. He can do about everything. He can throw. He has nice high crotches, singles, and we just saw him shuck. He do a nice shuck by, and he really looks for tilts when he gets on top. He's a complete wrestler, and as you say, one of the Blue Chippers in the state.
His coach, Marv Ryland.
Any relation?
Yeah, you'd believe it all right, because Marv was an All-American at UNI. Mark Ryland on top. He's wrestled about a minute here. Kane is out. 2-1. Just shucked him again. Well, I'll tell you, he just has defensively so much they never get a chance to get in the game.
Right, and then he puts him out of position, and he just is able to really do what he wants to do. You see him controlling that near wrist right here. He's looking for back points. He's really got control, got a lot of pressure on top. He keeps good pressure, keeping Kane down on the mat.
Kane of Cedar Rapids LaSalle was another of the young men who did very well by advancing to the state lost in the district. He finished second there, and he's only a junior. End of the first period. It's 4-1. There's Marv. He's had a couple of men in a row lose here, and so I'm sure he's as anxious as anything else to get his team on a winning track here in the finals, even though they've won the state championship as a team.
Yeah, he wants to have them all smiling in the team champion picture. Nice drag to a single. That was a very nice setup. He did a little short drag, slid around to the single leg, and finished it off for 2.
6-1 is the score. Ryland over Kane.
Well, it's still 0-0 in the A match between Hoying of George and Capriva of Traer, North Tama.
Reckemer of Waverly Shell Rock. Here is the near fall position for Ryland.
He's going to figure for the head if he can get it on. There he has it on now. He's going to hip in and really try to create no room in there. And he did it.
That's the pin. A workmanlike blue chip performance by Mark Ryland. We really have seen 4 or 5 already really good-looking wrestlers here. Said hi to the home folks up in the balcony.
Right here, the figure 4 on the head. Now he's going to, what he did was arched his hips into him, into Kane, and created the fall situation.
It's tough. The muscles in the legs are so strong. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to have plenty of time now for other matches. Let's go to AAA. We have Mike Angrick of Des Moines Roosevelt against Matt Reckemer of Waverly Shell Rock. And Des Moines Roosevelt's Angrick is in the dark uniform. No, he's in the gray uniform on top. Angrick is in a 2-2 match with Matt Reckemer.
And we have a 3-3 match in the single A with 12 seconds left in the second period between Hoying and Capriva.
the big schools. Third period starts with Reckimer on top. What happened? They set him up again. Reckimer in the position of advantage on top. He breaks Angerich down, coming across with a far arm. Does he work the crossface there, drive the far shoulder down? But Angerich's able to stay up on his base, and not much is happening here. 2-2 with about 1:10 to go in the match. Now Angerich goes the other way. That didn't work.
Close match here. If Angerich wins, it'll only be the 4th Des Moines Roosevelt wrestler ever to win a state championship. So he's got a lot to be out there for, because it's not exactly every year that Roosevelt wins.
Reckimer has the arm through there on the bottom, controlling it well, and Angerich's not going much of any place, so he feels lucky to get to the out-of-bounds mark. 43 seconds to go. 2-2.
And we still have a 3-3 match over here on single A between the George and North Pima wrestlers. It's the last period, 45 seconds, with Hoying riding Capriva.
They start again with Reckimer on top, and he's been good because he's managed to take away Angerich's first move. He's flattened him out right away, and we're getting down the period now where he doesn't dare let Angerich go. But now Angerich is working to come out, and it's 3-2 with only 15 seconds to go. Angerich leads by 1. Oh, a double leg by Reckimer. He needs it to win. Angerich got his legs under him. He got control of his hips again and was able to get out of bounds with 1 second to go and save himself from being taken down. A good double leg try by the young man from Waverly Shell Rock. And Des Moines Roosevelt does get its 4th state champion in Mike Angerich, who came from the losers. Actually, the loser side of the bracket, because he finished 2nd in the districts.
Yes, that was his only loss this year in the district tournaments, and now they come all the way back for a state championship. And Capriva wins the state championship 4-3.
How about that?
For North Tama, North Traer.
He defeated previously unscathed Greg Hoying. Reading a little business that up on the board there that is available to all the people in the Veterans Memorial Auditorium crowd. There's some 12,500 here. People talk about the crowds dropping just a little bit in one sport or another at the state tournament level, but it hasn't happened in wrestling. Let's have the winners at 145 1A.
5th place, Jason Decker, Maynard, West Central. 4th place, Matt Brooks, Tri-Center, Neola. 3rd place, David Eberts, Parkersburg. Runner-up, Kent Purdy, Gilbertville, Don Bosco. And the 1A 145-pound champion from Brett, Ron Finch.
That's 1A. Now let's try 2A. We have 145-pound top 6.
Class 2A 145-pound awards. Coach Doug Guilford of Starmont Strawberry Point. 6th place, Brad Getz, Humboldt. 5th place, Neil Erickson, Mediapolis. 4th place, Ivan Steenledge, New Hampton. 3rd place, Mark McGraw, Emmitsburg. Runner-up, Rick Colbett, Eagle Grove. And the Class 2A 145-pound champion from Starmont Strawberry Point, Doug Streicher.
Stryker's been Pretty tough crew over the last few years from Starmont.
Quite a family wrestling name.
Now we go to AAA, 3A in 145-pound class.
145-pound awards, Coach Bob Casagrande of Sioux City, Heelan. 6th place, Augie Gutierrez, Bettendorf. 5th place, Marcus Mangum, Waterloo East. 4th place, Tim Minnick, Pleasant Valley. 3rd place, Matt Broderick, West Des Moines Dowling. Runner-up, Kurt McDermott, Newton. And the 3A 145-pound champion from Sioux City, Heelan, Keith Linden.
Good going there, Keith. Let's go for a floor report to Dean Borg.
The last 20 seconds made the difference for Dan Koperiva of Traer, North Tama. He was tied with Greg Hoeing up until that time, Greg Hoeing of George, and then got an escape in just the last 20 seconds, and Hoeing could not come back quickly enough. Hoeing had been undefeated until this time through this year. Dan Koperiva, the champion from Traer, North Tama at 155 pounds Class A. Dick Trotter has a guest.
Yes, indeed, Dean, and his name is Mark Ryland from Eagle Grove, the state champion in Class 2A at 155. Mark, you told me a little bit ago you started wrestling at a tender age.
Yeah, I grew up in it because my dad's the coach, and I probably started around kindergarten. I just kept going ever since.
And when you went out there tonight, what did you have in mind when you met this lad from Cedar Rapids, LaSalle?
I wanted to get out there and get going. I wanted to get after him and then just put it to him and get it over with as fast as I could. It's been a long year, and I'm glad I'm kind of hate to see it end, but I'm glad it's over in another way, too.
All right, now I understand you'll be watching a young man from Webster City very shortly.
Yeah, Bart Shelsvig, he's a really great guy. He's one of my best friends, and he's going to do it.
Okay, congratulations, Mark. Now back to you, Doug.
Very nicely done. We're going to go now to AA at 167 pounds between Jim Geyer of North Fayette of West Union and Carson Kyle of Waukee. We'll also be keeping our eye on a big match going on at AAA. A young man trying for his 3rd state title. He's Bart Chelsvig of Webster City against Steve Sparble. And right away, we have a position where the young man from North Fayette put Kyle on his back. And at 1A, we'll have Greg Butteris of Lisbon trying to put away a 2nd place for his team and stay undefeated at the same time while he wins a title against Travis Pfizer of Iowa Valley of Marengo.
Boy, we have a wild one here on that AA match. It's really going crazy.
We sure have.
He's got the arm. If he can keep the arm in the head and not get rolled through, but he did get rolled through.
And up in the corner there, you saw a little bit of that Sparble-Chelsvig match that we'll be keeping an eye on. As we said, Chelsvig is going for 3 in a row. We're following a rotation system that is set up 3 years in advance, and it gives all the high school sizes the same chance.
Well, Jim Geyer is a good all-round wrestler. He's really tough on top, so that's where he wants to be.
And he's on the leg, a single again.
And now he's really tough here.
5-2 for Geyer, undefeated this year. Has a leg in, but can't crank enough to suit the referee. So we're going to go back to starting over again. Don Crandall's the official. Geyer, the man in back, who just brought his man to the mat again, is leading 5-2, but he didn't come down with the authority he needed, and Kyle is out. 5-3 and a throw.
He was into a body lock situation, inside trip, and got him down for 2 points. Actually, Kyle was lucky not to come out of it without back points. He did a nice job of getting to his base.
Tough ride now by Geyer.
Geyer's dad was a outstanding wrestler for Northern Iowa a few years ago. And, of course, his coach.
End of the first period at 167. Butteris and Pfizer are 0-0. Lisbon against Iowa Valley.
Well, at the end of the first period in 3A, we have Bart Chelsvig ahead 11-3 on Steve Sparbell from Muscatine. But Webster City, two-time state champion, going for his third. Bart Schelsvig ahead.
And a really major prospect. The second period has just started here. And Geyer continues to control the match. He leads 7-3, and he's been in charge all the time on top. Nice move by Kyle. Comes to even, makes it 7-4. We have about a minute. Oh, let's see, a minute 13 to go, second period. Don Crandall's the official. That's Geyer on the left. No advantage yet. Geyer's the man with the half Nelson. Seven to 4 Geyer. Kyle spins around and scores. Not quite. He didn't have him down. That was a little bit too quick with that. Now, 7-6. It's a match.
It really is. This is Kyle's first time into the state tournament. And of course, Geyer, the defending state champion, has been here 3 times. It's interesting when a young man first time gets into the finals and really makes a game of it like Kyle is.
9-6 after the reversal now. Kyle made a move, and so Geyer had to go back to work. That's the end of the period. Let's take a look at the 2A standings. Eagle Grove, of course, wraps it up. They have it all knocked. Sheldon has 80, and Comanche and Starmont in a tussle there for third place, with Emmetsburg just behind.
Oh, a nice duck action there by Kyle from Waukee. Got not the 2 yet, just like, oh, I'll tell you what, it looks like they have it. We're ready to call it, but the referee isn't.
10-6. 10-6. Geyer has he's on the right now. Kyle has the yellow knee pad. And Kyle got a little out of position trying to counter a leg shot on the near side, and Geyer came around the other way and makes it 12-6.
And Schelsvig is only 1 point away from getting his third championship. It's 20-6 with a minute 25 left.
And Butteris is leading Pfizer. Butteris of Lisbon 4-2 over Pfizer at single A in the third period with about a minute to go. We're looking at Geyer try to put Kyle in a really fall position.
He's really cranking him.
That's a tough half Nelson. Oh, that arm is barred.
He's losing the chest to chest. He almost had it, but he really lost that and wasn't able to get him over. Bart Schelsvig has won his third state championship for Webster City with a 22-6 decision over Sparbell, Steve Sparbell from Muscatine.
Well, one man was able to make it to his third title tonight, and another wasn't. Terry Brands of Sheldon was defeated in his attempt to make a third championship. There's Kyle. Couldn't make it up. Geyer stopped him with 20 seconds to go in the match.
Geyer really has it going his way now because he does have it locked up.
Oh, tough situation.
Kyle's really scrappy. He's feisty. He's not going to lay down for him there.
but the match is over. Geyer is the winner, 14-6.
And there's a two-time state champion.
He's from North Fayette, West Union.
And another two-time state champion in single A, Greg Butteris. Just winning in single A. Excuse me, that's not his second state title. He placed last year. Finished a perfect season, 35-0 for a state championship. Greg Butteris from Lisbon.
So 1 for Butteris, and as he said, 2 for Geyer and 3 for Chelsvig. Here are the winners at 155 in Class A, first of all.
Third place, Winthrop East Buchanan. Second place, Greg Hoying George. And the 1A 155-pound champion from Traer, North Tama, Dan Kopriva.
The winner at single A at 155. Those 6 will step down and bring up the 2A champion down through 6th place.
Sixth place, Mark Ridout, Winterset. Fifth place, Jeff Duncanson, Sheldon. Fourth place, Mark Newberry, Osage. Third place, Mike Bergen, Cresco, Crestwood. Runner-up, Mike Kane, Cedar Rapids, LaSalle. And the Class 2A 155-pound champion from Eagle Grove, Mark Ryland.
Mark Ryland. Coach's son. There are a number of coaches' sons winning out here. Kind of helps, doesn't it?
Well, it has to be a different kind of feeling for a coach to coach his own son. It has to be a great ecstatic feeling when they win, but when they lose, you have to have that special pain in you because you're...
Here's the 3A lineup.
That's why I want all girls.
Sixth place, Fifth place, Dwayne Van.
Doesn't help.
Fourth place, Curtis White, West Des Moines, Dowling. Third place, Shane Gates, Indianola. Runner-up, Matt Retzkemmer, Waverly Shellrock. And the 3A 155-pound champion from Des Moines Roosevelt, Mike Engrick.
Nice going, Mike. Yep, all those girls will be winning state championships and things too, you know, and you'll be pulling just as hard. Okay, here we go to Dick Trotter to Dean Borg. Dean Borg.
I'm going to be first, then we'll go over to Dick. Greg Butteris at 167 pounds for Lisbon is the state champion, and he hung on very tough over Travis Pfizer of Marengo. Actually, Butteris had the offense here. 2 takedowns and a stalling point, and an escape. He picked up his points. Pfizer just could not get the takedown that he needed in the final seconds in order to decision Butteris, and Butteris won it 6-3. Dick?
Hey, Dean, thank you. Back in the early 50s, there was another Chelsvig that won a state title. Standing on my right now is a Chelsvig who won 3. Did you know it was going to be as easy tonight, Bart?
Oh, I just tried to relax as much as I could while I was out before the match, and I didn't worry about it too much.
The final score, 21-6, before it was a technical foul. Bart Chelsvig of Webster City over Steve Snarble of Muscatine. And you said you'd like to dedicate this match to somebody, Bart.
My mother, who passed away last spring.
Probably your greatest fan.
Definitely.
Bart, best of luck to you. Thanks so very much. Now back to you, Bob.
Thanks a lot.
And Bart Chelsvig. Good luck to Bart and all these young men here who overcome a lot of heartache sometimes to step to that top. And a lot of them don't ever get to the top who deserve it in every way but that. Okay, now we're going to 185 pounds at AA. It's Craig Stephen of New Hampton against undefeated Stacy Hand of South Tama County of Tama. And at 1A, we're going to have Don Finch of Britt, another of the Finches, against Terry Walder of MFL Monona. As Britt runs up its score. And at 3A, Kurt Rosenberger, undefeated from West Des Moines Valley, against Brad Dinsdale of Webster City. That's Stephen and Hand out in the middle.
two outstanding matches, or two outstanding records, 30-1 is Craig Stevens' record, and Stacy Hand is undefeated. Stevens' loss is in AAA competition and not to any AA competitors.
Steven is the man on the left. Young man on the left. He's lost only one time, as Tim told you. Stacy Hand in the light uniform on the right. We're getting up there in the size now, 185 pounds. They've gone over a minute without a score. Outside single leg by Hand. Can he make it work?
Stevens got that single leg in there. He's just got to finish it.
I have him reversed, right?
But he's not getting it. He's down on his knees. He needs to come off his knees and finish it, either driving through or hooking it just like he did.
Right, that's Stephen of New Hampton in the light uniform against Hand of South Tama County. Sorry for everybody that knew that you had to worry about how we were going to get it right. That's why we have second opinions here with Tim Johnson. He has 4 seconds to go in the first period, 2-0.
In on this single here, he has a couple of options, and he chooses to take the outside trip there with his leg, cover up the hips, come up for 2.
Second period, the choice by whoever had the choice, and I couldn't see which one did, was to start on the feet. Stephen of New Hampton on the left. He had the only takedown and leads 2-0.
Now Hand has a body lock on him, but Stephen keeps the arm. But if Hand can get his head popped out here, he'll have 2 points. He's just got to pop off that head. Of course, Stephen, there
it is. That ties it.
Boy, we got a wild one in the second period over here. Finch from Britt has won the state championship in a technical fall, 17-1 over Terry Walter from Monona, MFL. So the second Finch to win a state championship.
Stayed undefeated. Britt's had a lot of fine wrestlers in the lower weights, and they have a couple of powerful kids in the middle and upper to that this year. Two here at AA with Stacy Hand of South Tama County riding Craig Stevens. 25 seconds to go, second period. Stalemate. The referee is Dwight Spangler. You're watching the finals of the State Wrestling Championships, Iowa High School Wrestling on Iowa Public Television. We have a tie score here in the championship match at 185, AA division. Hand of Tama County got a takedown at the beginning of this period and has ridden all the way. Is he getting back points? No. The period ends there, 2-2. Now the choice belongs to Stephen. And he wants to go down. Figures he can get out and win. Didn't stand up. He chose to stay down, and sometimes that gets to be tough. He wasn't able to get away from Hand earlier.
Hand is really working the near wrist there, and he's looking for that tilt. He's come close a couple of times.
It's 2-2. You know, when there's no riding time point, as there is in college, it gets to be scary. You get down toward the end. That escape is everything.
Coach Severson from New Hampton looking intently on. 2-2 match right here. His young man, Stephen, getting ridden pretty intensely here in the last period. The prize series here. Hansen trying to get Stephen over for 2 points.
But he sure kept him flat. Tough ride. Now Stevens able to get to his feet. We have how much time left? About a minute.
Almost out, but Hand covered him, and it was a good effort by Hand to stay with him until he went out of bounds.
We have 54 seconds to go. Third period, 2A Division 185. And Hand is doing quite a job on top. No, he couldn't get the tilt. He couldn't stop him. Working on the arm through the leg. Wants to load him up and turn him on his back. Now decides to go the other way. No points. He's going for the fall, though.
You bet. And the referee, Dwight Spangler, agrees as he calls Stephen for stalling. It's a warning.
17 seconds to go, and Stephen can win if he comes out.
Boy, that Hand just stays right with him.
Oh, and now he
gets
Stephen on his back. I don't know if he's getting back points.
Yes,
now
he
he is. And he wins right at the end with a near fall. A 3-point near fall. And Hand came from behind to win that. He got taken down in the first period, but he looked good after that.
Yes, he did. He rode very intently, kept a lot of pressure on. Really a nice win for that young man.
Stacy Hand, an undefeated season.
Right here, he just stays covered. But then he changes over. Watch as he comes back around out in front, and he changes off and gets an underhook and goes chest to chest. In AAA, Kurt Rosenberger won by technical fall, keeping his record perfect and beating Brad Dinsdale from Webster City.
Here are the 167 winners, 1A. That's Greg Butteris on top. Greg Butteris, one of Brad Smith's successful Lisbon wrestlers. They weren't able to win the team championship this year, but they have finished second. Now the 2A winners are coming up.
Presenting the Class 2A 167-pound awards, Coach James Geyer of West Union, North Fayette. 6th place, Todd Jensen, Sheraton. 5th place, J.D. Kuehl, Atlantic. 4th place, Mark Feldposh, Maquoketa. 3rd place, Gary Ridout, Winterset. 2nd place, Carson Keel, Waukee. 1st place, 2A 167-pound champion from West Union, North Fayette, Jim Geyer.
Jim Geyer, his second title, 29-0 season from North Fayette. Now we're going to bring to the stand the AAA winners, including a 3-time state champion.
Class 3A 167-pound awards, Coach Vern Hill of Webster City. 6th place, Greg Fitzharris, Cedar Rapids, Kennedy. 5th place, Tim Lewis, Oskaloosa. 4th place, John Schultz, Sioux City East. 3rd place, Wade Lamont, Eldridge, North Scott. Runner-up, Steve Sparabell, Muscatine. And the 3A 167-pound champion from Webster City, Bart Schelsvig.
A 3-time state champion, Bart Schelsvig of Webster City, and that's the happiest looking second place winner I've seen all night.
Right, he was just happy to get there. That's what that was his goal.
Let's go to Dean Borg.
In Class A at 185 pounds, Don Finch came out very aggressively. Don is from Britt, undefeated so far this year, wrestling Terry Walter. He piled up 17 points halfway through the second period for a technical fall over Terry Walter. The champion is Don Finch of Britt. Dick?
All right, Dean, we had a technical fall as well in Class 3A at 185, and your state champion, Kurt Rosenberger, right here from West Des Moines Dowling, as he's a happy lad to win 16-1 over Brad Dinsdale of Webster City in 41 seconds in the third period. Now back to you, Doug.
We hear a good deal about Rosenberger of West Des Moines Valley. Some of the coaches think he's one of the great real sleepers in this group of graduating seniors. He's a terrific prospect. Undefeated season. Now we're going to go to heavyweight, and we're still at AA with Paul Wildman of Washington High School of Cherokee against North Fayette's Brad Weimer. And Wildman got a takedown right away to make it 2-0. He's undefeated this year, and Weimer's lost only once. At 1A, it's Pat Kelly of Britt who's undefeated against Tom Mashik. We're seeing the coach's son here. He's Dan Mashik's son from Gilbertville, Don Bosco. And on AAA, Paul Weltha of Ames, who was a defending champion, wrestles Jamie Cutler of West Des Moines Dowling, who has been rated first all year and is undefeated. And that should be a good one, too.
Right, Cutler has more wins than any other wrestler in the state this year.
Now you see Wildman leading 2-0, and
boy, he's got that tight. He's going to get some points out of this. Now he wants to adjust so he can get the shoulder blades down. He's going to let him in here a little bit, loosen it up.
Make room for that near shoulder to go down. There it is. There it is.
He's lost the lock, see? He's still got enough pressure with the chin. He's covering it chest to chest here, and he's going to change off.
Now it's trouble again for the man on the bottom.
See him pressure that shoulder right there. He's really keeping it tight. That left shoulder has a lot to do with it.
Trying to bridge on the bottom, get out of bounds if he can. Anything to get away from this situation. And there it is.
Boy, he stayed with that tight. He really, really wanted that pin.
And another undefeated season.
You know, so many times you let something like that go and it comes back and haunts you. He did not let Weimer come back and haunt him at all. He kept it tight and got the... Paul Wildman gets the state championship with a fine pin.
Washington High School of Cherokee. There's where it ended. Bang. And in high school, you have to hold it for a count of 2. So we get a chance to go elsewhere. And we're going to be moving on up to 3A for the match we told you about between Ames' Paul Weltha, who won this title last year but has lost one match this season and has not been rated as highly as Jamie Cutler of West Des Moines Dowling. Dowling's Cutler is the man on the left in the purple. Weltha is in the black on the right from Ames.
Cutler's 38-0. Really a fine prospect himself. He's going to be going on to college to wrestle.
We get up at the end of the first period, it's scoreless. When you get to this level, the size of these young men, you see a lot of people who have won honors in football, too. All-state football players. And sometimes, for that reason, the sport of wrestling loses them when they go into college.
Yeah, in fact, they even lose them during the season. When I was coaching Paul Hufford, he was going on trips, and the same thing with Turner from Clinton. He had so many recruiting trips that sometimes you lose the intensity from wrestling.
Cutler went into a roll, and that's almost it's a kind of a Granby, except he had the wrong arm, but he's still going to get the reversal, and it's 2-0 in favor of Cutler. He's quick.
In the 1A match, Kelly from Britt is leading 5-1 over Mashik from Don Bosco. Kelly, of course, is an interesting story, going from 67 to heavyweight in the last 3 weeks.
Oh.
It's an interesting jump, isn't it?
Sure is. We have 1:25 to go here in the second period as Cutler, leading 2-0, goes to work on top. correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Welfa's only loss this year is to Cutler.
I won't correct you then. You're right.
That's Paul Welfa, All-State football player. A tackle. And he was the defender. He was the champion last year at this weight.
Well, Coach Bob Dara and Dowlings have some good wrestlers and some good heavyweights, but Jamie Cutler has to rank right up there among the best of them.
Welfa's out. That's his first point, 2-1. One point for the escape. 30 seconds to go, second period.
At the end of 2 periods, Pat Kelly from Britt leads Tom Mashik from Don Bosco 7-2.
Britt fellas have been really tough, but
Lisbon's just been a step ahead of them there.
Not quite enough of the Brit people made the finals. 3 of them did, and they've all won. So interesting, though, isn't it? Well, let's just take a look at the standings in 3A. We know that Clinton has already won it, but West Des Moines Dowling has managed to come up over 100 points. They now have 103.5, and you see Cutler out there wrestling for Dowling now. Charles City is locked up third because Chelsea title was the last one that Webster City was able to win. Cutler riding on top, leading by 1 in the last period. They break because of a potentially dangerous hold. Cutler took the play away from Welfa on the whistle, but Welfa does get to his feet. Cutler countered well just as the hands broke by going in to take the leg and maintain the position, so he was able to keep control and still leads by 1 with 1.5 minutes to go. That's Bob Dara, longtime coach at Dowling. Welfa again was able to break the hands, but not avoid Cutler's move down to the leg. This time, Cutler slips. Should be a point, I think, probably. Is it? For an escape? Maybe not.
Referee says no. He says that no loss of control. Coach Jack Mendenhall disagrees a little bit, and I think it's up for disagreement.
1 minute and about 15 to go. Welfa's been able to get to this position. This time, again, Cutler goes down to the leg, but Welfa's able to clear for the tying point. It's 2-2 here. So we go to the feet for the last minute. Who can take who down?
Well, Pat Kelly has won the state championship at heavyweight for Britt, winning an 8-2 decision over Tom Mashik from Don Bosco.
This is the only heavyweight match then still going. We have super heavyweights coming up, the slightly bigger people. And we'll have to decide here who we're going to start with, too, in a couple minutes.
You said slightly bigger, and there's a reason for saying slightly bigger, as there's the limit this year on the weight that any wrestler can wrestle. So we don't have the huge heavyweights anymore, right, Doug?
They have to get to 275. Well, here we are with Welfa and Cutler eyeing the clock. 26 seconds to go for a state championship. Welfa won it last year. Cutler had a takedown early.
This part, it looks like they're kind of saying, well, it's going to be overtime.
Well, Welfa drove hard, and Made a little go of it with 6 seconds to go.
Kind of a gut check right here. It's 6 seconds left. You almost think that one would be thinking about sneaking right in there, but they're both thinking about overtime.
Yep, we're going to have an overtime match. 2-2. Heavyweight in the AAA division between Welta of Ames and Cutler of West Des Moines Dowling. Crowd beginning to thin out slightly. I know a lot of people are thinking about what the weather's like outside if they have to drive all the way across the state. And
what is the weather like outside?
I don't know. I'm one of those people who's thinking about it. Is it? And
you've got to go to Ames. I've got to go to Wichita, Kansas. So.
Yeah, but maybe like tomorrow.
Maybe.
So we are taking a little time out here, and the heavyweight overtime is like everybody else's. It'll be 1 minute for each period. Each year, Iowans are asked to show their support for public television. You can join friends during festival. This year's festival begins on Tuesday, March 10th, and continues through Sunday, March 22nd. There will be outstanding programming, featured nature, drama, lots of music, one whole evening of country music. We hope you'll join Iowa Public Television and enjoy the programs, but please pick up your phone and call during festival. The membership dollars are used for programs, including this wrestling that you're watching tonight. And whether you like sports or music or documentaries or public affairs or something else, join Friends of Iowa Public Television, because our friends, you make the difference. Overtime. Welta on the right, in the dark uniform on the far side, just came in a double leg against Cutler, but lost his balance. Cutler came out. Cutler's undefeated, but Welta was the defending champion. Welta's been a little more active in the last minute or two than
kind of come to life here. Right there, that's a nice job of changing levels, but Welta's strong enough yet to ward off the challenge. But Cutler was able to change his levels and get in on a shot, but it just wasn't enough.
It's the first pretty fair move that Cutler made on offense in a while, and I'm sure it was cheering for him. Now the official, Jim Christensen, just warned both men for inactivity. Double warning. Kind of a reach there by Welta.
He likes to reach in and do those snap singles.
We have a minute to go in the second period now. That first period is over. Who gets the choice? Cutler gets the choice. What does he want to do? He'll start down. He'd like to get ahead. Like to escape and get ahead. Bob Dara looks pretty calm for overtime.
And his mainstay, Coach Gray, there sitting beside him.
Cutler's out.
In a lot of years.
Leads 1-0. Nothing for Cutler on the right. He has Welta's arm tied up. He'd like to work you see him try to go to the ankle pick on the far side from that. Really the first good tie-up he's had for a while. And Cutler's now the one forcing the action. Welta has made just a couple of reaches in there with the double leg. Not really very good moves yet. Without, as Tim tells you, changing levels very well yet. Just coming straight in. And that's the end of the second period. They're only a minute long. And Welta's going to start at the bottom. And if he escapes, it's another tie. We haven't had a criteria yet. But there is if they end up tied at the end of an overtime, then you go to a list of criteria. Somebody, I don't know if this is a caution or whether the official says it was my fault. I think the mat judge was telling the referee that was your fault. No caution. Welta's up, and again you see Cutler go down to the leg. As soon as Welta breaks the hands, Cutler drops down and gets a single leg and maintains the position.
Well, he's not going to be able to just stay there dropping down to the single without getting warned here, and I think that's what they're discussing right there. He's going to say you're going to have to take him to the mat.
This time Cutler drives hard against Huelva, prevents him from getting up for a while.
Now he's got control of the wrist. That's real important right here, but he's got to take him back to the mat. And there he goes, warned, because he's not immediately taking him back to the mat.
But there are only 34 seconds to go. 1-0, Cutler leads in overtime. Here we come again. What happened? A point?
The caution, a point, goes against Cutler. It's 1-1 now.
Oh boy, now if Huelva escapes, he's ahead. They checked with the scoreboard, and now Cutler has to really go to work on Huelva.
This is when everybody needs to know what the criteria is. The coaches in the corner need to know what the story is, and they need to be able to coach him and tell him exactly what to do.
Well, we have a list of them here somewhere, and if we need them, we'll take a look. Huelva still has to get out. I think he just did.
Well, that makes it easy now for Cutler to decide on what to do. He needs to take him down.
That's right. And it's 2-1. Cutler is undefeated. He's been top ranked for a good part of the year, especially since he beat Huelva. There's Cutler shooting underneath, but Huelva wants to be there. He was able to dodge a little bit of a shot there because Cutler is quick. And Huelva, I don't believe, has been warned yet. So he repeats as time runs out. Huelva wins his second championship. 2-1 in overtime over Jamie Cutler of West Des Moines Dowling. And it happened on a warning and on a penalty. They've been important, haven't they?
Boy, we've really seen him do a number on a few wrestlers here and throughout the night.
And that's a two-time champion there, Paul Huelva from Ames High. Let's go and see the awarding of the top 6 places in 1A at 185.
6th place, Clint Lovell, Lawton Bronson. 5th place, Quentin Silberstein, Winthrop, East Buchanan. 4th place, Doug Sims, Marengo, Iowa Valley. 3rd place, Trevor Clark, Pleasantville. Runner-up, Terry Walder, Monona MFL. And the Class 1A 185-pound champion from Britt, Don Finch.
Don Finch, one of brothers who have wrapped up championships tonight for Britt, and 3 championships altogether for that school.
They've had a good night tonight between Lisbon and Britt. What they have 6 state champions.
Something like that.
So half of the state champions in the single A were won by Britt and Lisbon. And
this is double A, 2A.
6th place, Lane Monroe, West Union, North Fayette. 5th place, John Ustendorf, West Liberty. 4th place, Edmund Arnold, Mediapolis. 3rd place, Ben Greiner, Washington. Runner-up, Craig Stephen, New Hampton. And the Class 2A 185-pound champion from South Tama, Stacy Hand.
Stacy Hand. He won on a near fall right at the very end. 5-2 over Craig Stephen to win his championship. And so it's 185-pound 2A winners now going down, and up come the 3A winners. Headed by Valley's Kurt Rosenberger. He's up on the top step.
Jim Rutherford of West Des Moines Valley. 6th place, J.D. Thatcher, Iowa City West. 5th place, Greg Berg, Southeast Polk. 4th place, Brad Daldorf, Clinton. 3rd place, Jeff Crooks, Charles City. Runner-up, Brad Dinsdale, Webster City. And the Class 3A 185-pound champion from West Des Moines Valley, Kurt Rosenberger.
Kurt Rosenberger made a lot of scouts happy here too, and his coach and all the people from Valley, and especially himself. He did very well. Well, let's go to Dean Borg.
I have another champion from Britt for you. He's Pat Kelly, 17-year-old junior. He decisioned his opponent, Tom Mashuk of Gilbertville, Don Bosco, 8-2. Actually, he dominated the match all the way. 2 takedowns in the first period, an escape takedown in the second period, and a stalling point in the third period, adding up to 8-2. Pat Kelly, the champion, heavyweight, Class A, from Britt. Doug?
And we're going to show you the team standings right now as quickly as we can for all 3 classes. First of all, 1A, which has been won by Don Bosco of Gilbertville, with Britt now in second place. There you go, Tim. Britt managed to make it by a half a point over Lisbon, and they cannot be caught. There's their 2A with Eagle Grove first, Sheldon second, Comanche third. And the 3A winners are the Clinton River Kings over West Des Moines Dowling and Charles City. Now, we're going to go to 3A for the super heavyweights. These are, what is it, above 230 and no more than 275 pounds. But these are the big guys. AAA, it's Brian Baroda of Clinton. See the team champion send out its last wrestler, put a little icing on the cake, against undefeated Mike Fontana of Ankeny. Now, if you're a longtime sports fan in the state of Iowa, a basketball fan, you'll remember the Fontanas from Ankeny. Remember Ron and Ray, and I don't want to leave any of the others out, but I just did, who were great basketball players. But this is one who gave up basketball and became a wrestler, and a heck of a good one.
I'd say that he probably made the right choice. He's not been beaten this year. He has a great opportunity here to win a state championship.
In the 1A super heavyweight class, we have Rodney Benson of Griswold against Mike Kilgore, and who's on his back? Well, as a matter of fact, Kilgore has Benson on his back, and that's in the 1A up there. This often happens in super heavyweight. Somebody goes down on his back and it's hard to get out. So we'll keep it up there as long as this situation is there, and there's the pin. You saw it. Mike Kilgore defeated by Rodney Benson. Or rather the other way around. Mike Kilgore defeated Rodney Benson, Southeast Warren winner. Now the 2A is between Ed Huff of Sheldon and Dan Cox of North Polk.
There that goes. Boy, I'll tell you, one after another, and that's Huff going for his 4th pin in the state tournament.
That happens a lot.
4th pin in the
super heavyweight. It's going to happen.
He got it in the first period.
That happened at AA too. So the match you're watching right now is the only one left.
Man, that was fast. Sheldon's an interesting story this year. They had some real fine performance, and minus one of the better wrestlers in the state in Tom Brands, who could not make the trip this year to the state because of disciplinary reasons, and who knows what would have happened if he would have been at the state tournament.
Add his totals in, that might put him in first place.
It just might have.
Okay, AAA, Brian Baroda of Clinton on the far side against Mike Fontana of Ankeny. The score is 0-0. We have only 25 seconds to go in the first period. Super heavyweights are dangerous to each other. They really are. You go down and look through the rankings here. I think there are more pins than not.
Well, they go, either they lock up and they go one way or another, and whichever direction they fall, it usually doesn't change.
And you just try to stay out of the way if they're going to fall.
Are you talking about spectators, and
spectators,
referee,
coaches,
and everybody? Yeah.
Right.
TV announcers.
Especially. We have finished the first 2 minutes here on Iowa Public Television's coverage of the last match of the 1987 Wrestling Championships, High School, Iowa. The Clinton River Kings have won the team title. They have Brian Baroda out there trying to make an individual title part of the whole pleasing show for Bob Luter's team, which had its biggest kick, I would say, earlier tonight when Dan Knight won his 4th title and maintained his totally undefeated record as a high school wrestler. In the quest for 3-time championships, Bart Chelsvig was successful for Webster City. He won his 3rd title. Terry Brands of Sheldon just missed.
It was a heartbreaker for Terry, but he's the kind of kid going to just keep plugging, and you'll see him, like I said, in the national scene.
No score, and Baroda still maintains his position on top, but he's warned. He's warned for not bringing his man to the mat. Just maintaining a position of advantage behind. All right, Baroda made the first move that time. He got the Fontana flattened out.
Well, Baroda, he'll look for the cross face, and he works those near wrists, and he looks for the cradle every once in a while. And really, he's a pretty tough rider. Stay behind the arms there. Does a nice job. They're both good-looking super heavyweights.
He's like wallpaper all over Fontana. Here we go again. That's Baroda. It's a well-balanced team, obviously, for Clinton this year. They not only have people such as Knight at the bottom of the lineup, but the big ones, and they don't wrestle each other, so you know they're not picking it up by going head-to-head.
They had a real fine group of seniors this year, and they just really have been gearing for this year for the last few.
Fontana of Ankeny is going to have to make something happen by coming up off the bottom, but the referee is Gene Luttrell, a veteran official, and he has just penalized Baroda a point. He said, you're not doing enough on top. He warned him once, and now took a point. Chalked it up on Fontana's side, so Baroda has 46 seconds here to ride, and he trails. Fontana, I think, has only once been able to get to his feet. Now he's back down on his chest again. So Baroda goes to the arm. Try to bar it and turn him.
He's really done a nice job of riding so far, and he's got to get out if he's going to turn him. He's got to get out to the side. And now he's got...
Warned the other way. Warning against Fontana.
Right.
You see the 1 up there on the board, 1-0. That's in favor of the man on the bottom. So with, well, time actually ran out just as they went out of bounds. So we're going to the third period now. 1-0, Fontana. Who gets the choice? Those are the Clinton coaches. Bob Luters is on the other side. And Baroda has, he's fortunate here in that he has a chance to come out and tie the score.
That's right.
He's on the bottom. Let's see what Fontana does. He's not able to do much except go for the leg.
Now he's got to cut off if he's going to take him back down. Or Baroda's going to be able to get out to the side. There he just did. He used the hips down. He got 1 point. He's got a front headlock. He's not going to be able to keep it because Fontana did a nice job of coming up to off his knees. Nice shot. But defensed well and hard.
And here comes Baroda around to the side.
Nice kick out by Fontana. Pretty agile for super heavyweights.
So 1-1. Time, about 1:15. Remember that Baroda's been already penalized for stalling, and Fontana has been warned. So, that's the problem. See, Fontana now has lost a point, and he loses the lead. It's now 2-1 in favor of Baroda. Gene Luttrell's not messing around either.
No, he saw Fontana just kind of dancing around there, and he says, that's not wrestling. Fontana acted surprised, but he was not getting back to the center.
They've both been penalized, so neither man can waltz for long and hope to get away with it. But the thing is that Baroda leads, so Fontana is going to have to make some shots like that. He got in on the leg. He's under the arm. He's in behind. He has to take the man to the mat. He gets the 2.
That was a nice job there.
His first takedown. much time. 28 seconds to go. Ankeny coach Bob Sharp trying to will his youngster into a good solid 28-second ride. He wasn't able to keep Baroda very long the last time.
Nope. Whoa. That was a funny move because really he was coming up. All he had to do was control the hand and come straight up for that 1 point to tie it. But there he goes. There's the one.
And it's a tie with 10 seconds to go.
The OT again.
Two seconds, one, and we're going to get an overtime. So, put the coffee down to simmer again, and we'll take a little extra time here. Coffee.
I need some.
Brian Baroda of Clinton goes back to sit down and get a minute rest here before they start the overtime period against Mike Fontana of Ankeny. They tied 3-3 in wrestling in the regulation time. If you like wrestling, you want to see the best in the world, there's more wrestling coming your way, international freestyle, as the United States meets the Soviet Union April 4th. That's a Saturday at 7 o'clock here on Iowa Public Television. It's the USA national team, which has 1984 Olympic gold medalist Mark Schultz, Bruce Baumgartner, some people say the best heavyweight who ever was, 1986 Goodwill Games gold medalist John Smith, Nate Carr, Barry Davis, Mark Schwab will also compete. While Dan Gable, Mark Johnson, 1988 Olympic coach Jim Humphrey will coach that USA squad. That's USA-USSR Wrestling from the Carver Hawkeye Arena. And we're happy to be able to bring it to you. There you see people from Iowa State. Up on the left there, it looks like a little black eye, is Tim Krieger, undefeated 150-pounder. And Jim Gibbons is his coach. And they are seeing some outstanding prospects here.
That's why Coach Gibbons is rubbing his eyes. He's saying, I can't believe how much good wrestling I've seen. I want them all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Trouble is that all the coaches, none of the coaches have enough scholarships to give them to everybody. There are too many to go around. Baroda against Fontana. It's a 1-minute first period, and then will followed by 1 minute second and third. And they're halfway through the first one. Overtime. Clinton's Baroda in the red, Fontana in the darker uniform from Ankeny, now on the left. When the super heavyweights say to the coach, why do I have to run, you know? Why am I doing this? This is why.
That's right. Here we go into our 7th, 8th, and 9th minute.
End of the first period, no score. Who has the choice? They're going to. You aren't seeing either one of them start on the feet here. They're going to take that chance to go down and come out. All right, Fontana starts on the bottom. Baroda won't get set until he's ready. Can Fontana get to his feet? Yes, he does. He doesn't want to go out of bounds. He got away.
Right back in on the double. He's really after him. That's a lot of energy left in overtime.
1-0 Fontana. They get to the third period. Baroda will start down at the bottom. The last match of the 1987 High School Wrestling Championships. Super heavyweight overtime in the 3A division. Fontana
having trouble breathing.
Yeah,
he got knocked in the throat or something.
Pushed in the throat a little bit. And Baroda is talking to Bob Luters. That's the coach of the year. from Clinton. There on the left, his team has won, already locked up. They had it won before they came into tonight's finals, the state championship as a team.
Right here, he really goes after him. At the same time, they hit, it was with Baroda's head that hit his chest. Fontana's.
That move was called a push, I think, there. 20 seconds to go, second period. Fontana was able to escape here. So Baroda will have his chance maybe to escape in the third period. Knows that takedowns, if neither man has been penalized for unsportsmanlike conduct, the takedowns are what count in criteria.
Well, this will be a real interesting last period here because
end of the period.
Baroda is going to be wanting to explode out. And Fontana, who's not a bad rider, has a nice suck back. You know, in this last flurry of things, anything could happen. Baroda wants to come straight up. Fontana wants to keep him down.
Baroda has to escape to at least have a chance to get in the criteria. And Fontana's holding in there.
Now right here, look at he's looking for the cradle, looking for a suck back. He's not going to get too risky here.
Fontana of Ankeny riding with a 1-point lead. Baroda goes the other way. They're both tired, there's no doubt about it. Baroda can't get to his feet. He has 25 seconds to go.
Fontana's doing a nice job of reacting, knowing where he's at right here.
But Fontana is not really working for a fall, and I think that there's referees are watching that pretty closely.
Well, it's running out of time.
Yeah, there it is. Now, the penalties do not go back into regulation time, so that's only a warning. But I'll tell you, if Baroda were able to get out in 9 seconds, he would win because the criterion would eventually get down to, well, there it is.
There it is.
It's going to get down. That makes it 1-1, and I'm telling you right now that the winner is going to be Baroda because they each had an escape, and when you get down, eventually you go down through a number of near falls, and then reversals and escapes, and they're each even there. And then you get to the greater number of times penalized for stalling. And then you get to warnings for stalling, and that's where it's going to be decided.
Well, for our credibility, I hope you're right.
I hope so, too. Otherwise, I just spent 30 seconds talking about something that didn't matter.
They should just come over and ask you.
Well, I don't know why they're bothering to talk. They're going down through the criteria right now. The very first one is the wrestler has been penalized the greater number of times for unsportsmanlike conduct, loses. And then it's the greater number of points for near falls, greatest number of takedowns, greater number of reversals. None of those have mattered. Let's see the escape again here while we're waiting. That last one.
He's able to control the hands like that and then hip out and get the one. Turn the hips in.
And I'm sure it's going to be Baroda. And that's it. The winner is Baroda.
What a way to cap off a great year for Clinton. Bob Luters, Ken Wilkins, and the boys from Clinton. What a super year.
Yeah, they won them at the big weights. They won them at the lighter weights. And they won them all over the place. They went down into the 6th criteria for overtimes into 7th. Here are the award winners at heavyweight, 1A.
Class 1A heavyweight champion from Britt, Pat Kelly.
3 champions. Did you say he came up from 67?
Right, he was at 167 just short time ago and came all the way up to heavyweight and not too
Super
bad.
heavyweight place winners also report right away, please. Super heavyweight.
And I'm sure he was so happy to be able to eat again that it fired him up, and he went out and became the 3rd champion for Britt.
See, 167 was a little too light for him. He was having trouble keeping it there, and you can see why he didn't, because there was a state champion at 185.
Here are the 2As.
Goaler, Wapsie Valley Fairbanks.
And Don Finch.
4th place, Tom Childs, Greenfield. 3rd place, Dave Saxton, Emmitsburg. Runner-up, Brad Weimer, West Union, North Fayette. And the Class 2A heavyweight champion, Paul Wildeman, Cherokee, Washington.
Paul Wildeman. We got his name wrong there at the end too. You were following my lead again. We were calling him Wildman. Well, he was a Wildman.
He was.
He was. We got it right.
I thought you were just playing on words there, and I thought it was pretty clever.
And the 3A heavyweight place winners now.
Presenting the Class 3A heavyweight awards, Coach Jack Mendenhall of Ames. 6th place, Todd Kinney, DeWitt Central. 5th place, Chris Stodgdale, Charles City. 4th place, Mike Cole, Manchester, West Delaware. 3rd place, Dave Turner, Clinton. Runner-up, Jamie Cutler, West Des Moines, Dowley. And the 3A heavyweight champion from Ames, Paul Welta.
That's Paul Welta. Take that medal home and match it up with the other one he won last year for the same title. Those are the 3A heavyweight champions. And 6th place winners from 1A, 2A, and 3A. Let's go immediately to super heavyweight now. We're always one place behind, but there's no more wrestling going on. Here's 1A super heavyweight.
Awards, Coach Ron Miller of Liberty Center, Southeast Warren. 6th place, Chris Stewart, Grundy Center. 5th place, Kevin Mellies, Mobile, Woodbury Central. 4th place, Kevin Fry, Leon Central, Decatur. 3rd place, Steve Eastman, Riceville. Runner-up, Rodney Benson, Griswold. The Class 1A super heavyweight champion for Liberty Center, Southeast Warren, Mike Kilgore.
Mike, the winner in the super heavyweight 1A division. Stand up there and let all the photographers and the folks at home see you. He won a fall, and he won it very quickly at super heavyweight to make the championship go home to Southeast Warren and Liberty Center. Now the 2A place winners are
presenting the Class 2A super heavyweight awards, Coach Galen Nelson of Sheldon. 6th place, Larry Lakeman, Dyersville, Beckman. 5th place, Tom Wheatsema, Sibley, Ocheyedan. 4th place, Corey Carpenter, Dallas Center, Grimes. 3rd place, Mike Overbrockling, Clear Lake. Runner-up, Dan Cox, Alleman, North Polk. And the Class 2A super heavyweight champion from Sheldon, Ed Huff.
Another smile from another champion, Ed Huff. He won a fall too.
4 of them in the tournament. He really had a good tournament.
Did a great job. Now the last of the awards for individual places will come in the match the weight we just saw. It ended up between Baroda and Fontana, 3A super heavyweight.
6th place, Paco Perez, West Des Moines Valley. 5th place, Scott Davis, Fort Dodge. 4th place, John Musigman, Sioux City East. 3rd place, Dale Plessy, Dubuque Waller. Runner-up, Mike Fontana, Ankeny. And the Class 3A super heavyweight champion from Clinton, Brian Baroda.
You just saw Brian win. He's happy for himself, happy for the team. See on the left, there's Dan Gable. He's here, coach at Iowa. And Lonnie Timmerman on the right. See Lonnie and his wife sitting down below. Let's go to Dean Borg for our last floor report.
Well, Doug, as you said, it didn't take long for Mike Kilgore of Southeast Warren to show that he wanted to be the Class A super heavyweight champion. With a minute gone into his match, he put an arm drag on Rodney Benson of Griswold. Another 20 seconds, and he had him on the mat, and that was it. 1:20 into the match, a fall, the champion Mike Kilgore of Southeast Warren. Dick?
All
right, Dean. Tonight was certainly the night of the fall. As you see, Ed Huff of Sheldon put his opponent away in 1 minute and 35 seconds. Huff started out with a 2-point takedown, then put in a simple headlock and had his man Dan Cox of Alabama North Polk on his back. And that's your story with Ed Huff, the champion. Now back to you, Doug.
Now we're getting the awards of the team championships. And in the 1A division, we want to... Mo Kelly has just called the third-place team up in 1A, and that happens to be Lisbon. There's Brad Smith, coach of Lisbon. And Mo Kelly will announce the further awards.
In Class 1A, second place with 96.5 points, Coach Al De Leon and Britt.
Well, they didn't have anybody wrestle until up in the upper weights, and when they got started, they won everything they could win. They had 3 state champions.
And in Class 1A with 118.5 points, the champions, Coach Dan Loshik and Gilbertville Don Bosco.
That's Gilbertville Don Bosco, the 1A state champions. They had it all the way. They came into the night leading. They never gave it up. And here is the 1A standing list.
To present the award,
Gilbertville is first, and Eagle and
3 members of the Board of Control
and
to my far
Lisbon
left is
just
Jeff
behind.
Hotel, Superintendent
Happy
Centerville.
Coach Dan Mashik.
In the center is
All right.
Raleigh Dyer.
Now we have the awards for the top 3 2A teams.
Jackson Junction, Turkey Valley. In Class 2A, third place with 62 points, Coach Mike Ashby and Comanche.
Here they come.
In second place, 2A with 86 points, Coach Galen Nelson and Sheldon.
Sheldon happy to go home with a trophy, but they had some problems this year, and they had a great disappointment when Terry,
the 2A champions,
Brands, was unable to win his 3rd title.
Coach Marv Ryland and Eagle Grove.
And for the 2nd straight year, the 2A team trophy goes to Eagle Grove. Here's the way they stack up in that 2A list. Eagle Grove and a good winner out in front. They came into the last night ahead and stayed there. Sheldon and Comanche behind, and Starmount very close with Emmetsburg in 5th place. See Marv Ryland there on the right, successful coach at Eagle Grove. Good teacher, they tell me. Teaches math. It's turned out a fine program. Now here's the awarding of team trophies for the big schools, the 3As.
In the center is Dr. Jim Mitchell of Des Moines, representing the Department of Education as Deputy Superintendent. And next to Dr. Mitchell is Larry Parr, Principal at Ankeny. Class 3A, 3rd place, 69 points, Coach Nick Hobbs and Charles City.
Charles City 3rd.
Congratulations, fellas.
That'll look good in the lobby, won't it?
You just keep putting them in there.
Yeah.
He does a good job at Charles City. They've really got a wrestling tradition up there.
3.5 points, Coach Bob Dara, West Des Moines Dowling.
2nd place to Dowling. Dowling has a big trophy case.
They need one.
Great big trophy case. Those are the Dowling wrestlers. One of the most successful programs year in and year out.
And in Class 3A,
here are the winners.
the champions with 122.5, Coach Bob Luther and Clinton.
The state champions from Clinton. After all these years, that's the first state championship in wrestling for Clinton. They finished third 3 times. They finished third 3 times since 1982. And in the year that Dan Knight goes to his 4th title, they finished right there with 122.5 points ahead of West Des Moines Dowling and Charles City, Webster City with Bart Chelsvig, a 3-time winner, and Fort Dodge 5th. That's the way it goes. You see Dan Knight in the center holding the trophy. But he was by no means, you don't win team championships by being the only wrestler.
That's right. Let's go, man. He's quite a leader on the team. They all respect him, but they all rallied together to win that state championship, and that's something they'll all remember.
And Bob Luter's also got the Coach of the Year award for 1987 in this 67th annual high school wrestling championship series. And it was a major show for Clinton, wasn't it? They were in there the whole way.
There were a lot of smiles on the team from the start, and they just really had an outstanding performance.
Wouldn't you like to be a college coach and say, well, I can just take my pick of the Iowa high school Blue Chippers this year, and I'll make a team out of it? You could do it.
And each of the Iowa schools, Drake, UNI, Iowa State, and Iowa, they all need some good recruits this year.
And there are some wonderful prospects here, some of them who are not necessarily the ones that you say are the Blue Chippers. There are a lot of, as they say, it's the sleepers in there. There's some that are so good. This is a fine year.
You know, what's going to happen is in a couple of years, some people are going to come and tap us on the shoulder and say, you know, in that I heard you talking about the Blue Chippers, you didn't mention my name,
right,
and I just won a national championship. That's the kind of wrestlers
That's
we
right.
have, and I know it's going to happen, and that's great.
That's right. I want to say thank you to all the people who helped put this telecast together. Thanks to Dick Trotter and Dean Borg for their fine work every year on floor reporting. They have to go hustle the wrestlers down and catch them and interview them and do all that kind of business that we don't have to do, sitting here talking to you on a microphone during the matches. And we want to go again to remind you about that USA wrestling meet on April 4th at 7 p.m. against the USSR. Boy, will that be fun. That's going to be in Iowa City, and we will be bringing that to you 7 o'clock on April 4th. Once again, those team champions, Don Bosco at 1A, Eagle Grove at 2A, Clinton at 3A. Now we hope you'll stay tuned for our evening program schedule, Mind Your Language, Many Happy Returns, followed by Folk Reunion at Devil's Lake. And now for Tim Johnson, Dean Borg, Dick Trotter, I'm Doug Brown. Good night for Iowa Public Television.
Major funding for this program was provided by Friends of